Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Downtime in the Hangar, where we talk about all things GBO2 and tangents sometimes. So,
What?
Happy New Year! And to
Happy New
kick
Year.
off the new year, we've got a special guest. We got Rob from Flailthroughs,
Hello.
and then the usual suspects, Gustav the 13th
Yep.
and GamingEmblem.
Howdy, howdy.
So, Rob, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Let everybody know what you do and stuff like that.
Sure. I mainly I run Flailthroughs. It is my YouTube channel. I've been covering Gundam Battle Operation 2 since it was in beta actually, and I covered Gundam Battle Operation 1 from its first day of public release, and in between that, just random standard YouTube things, a little bit of Minecraft here and there in the distant past, and other Gundam games when I could get a hold of them. But yeah, that's the bulk of what I do. Though, if you're a Transformers fan, you may have also heard me on Radio Free Cybertron, which is a Transformers podcast so old it predates the term podcast.
Nice.
So I've been on there for about 10 years now. So good crew of people.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you mentioned that here the other day with the podcast. I was wondering. I was gonna check that out. So yeah, I'll have to check that out later.
Yeah, so like I said, it's a good group. I actually got involved in that because I had one of my friends. We were moderators at a Gundam message board back in 2003, and just wound up working together on an action figure review site. I don't know if you guys remember Mobile Suits in Action, but we were the people who covered those in English for good 5 years there.
Oh, wow.
So, and he, we both wound up writing news for Transformers news site, and working on this podcast, and just strange branches, all from being on this one Gundam message board with an insane Vietnam vet for an administrator 20 years ago now.
Kind of crazy where you kind of end up, right? That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
The people you will meet.
But yeah, I guess for everyone, how was Christmas and New Year?
It was lovely. Mostly just an obnoxious amount of GBO2, but hanging out at home, did a countdown stream for New Year's in particular, which is nice. And besides that, just keeping up with the games that I've been doing on here. It's kind of fitting because Yakuza is always based around the holidays, Christmas and New Year's and that, so totally on brand for a secondary game.
Gustav, do you still have to deal with ads, or were you able to get around that?
Oh, I almost forgot about that, but yeah, we didn't have to. Thank God.
Yeah. When you told me about it, I was like, oh, that's big sad.
That's sad. No, we looked out. It did not show an ad for the ball drop co-stream.
5, 4, 3, 2, ad. Yeah, thank
Like
goodness.
an ad for Tostinos or some bullshit. Like, come on now.
Oh no.
Cares about the ball drop. You want to drop your hunger. Tostino's pizza rolls. But I played Super Robot Wars for New Year's, although I base it off of Pacific time. So I was mainly just asking all of our time travelers from the future in chat, how was 2021? If there's anything we need to worry about. And then and just kind of messing around. I just happened to finish a mission, so it's a good stopping point anyway. But once the clock hit 12, I was just like, Happy New Year, guys. Have a good night. And I just ended the stream and plugged the Discord and tell everyone to have a good one. And thanks for watching. So it was a very Super Robot Wars New Year's, which is a pretty good way to spend it, I think. SRW is a lot of fun. I've been playing the newest translation for the PS2 OG games. So it was a lot of fun. And just too much bad operation. I'm fluctuating hard on the cusp of S-, so I'm still trying to get in there. But I'm at the mid 2600 stills. We stills there.
Pushing it to the limits.
Yeah, I know the feel of trying to do the rated thing. I'm like, I keep bouncing back and forth between like, nah, let's YOLO, and then okay, it's time to get serious, and then I'll get like 30 to 40 points into like A plus, and then I'm like, hey guys, let's play like 50 costs down and play this raid that nobody should ever play. Yeah, that seems fun.
Yeah, I kind of gave up on trying to be too serious about rated because, well, I gave up on being too serious about it just for stress reasons more than anything else, but also because I do take requests on Patreon, like wherever the queue comes up that I need to do, a Pale Rider Dualhan in a Digimon color. If that's a rated queue, I'm doing it there. So I can't really worry about the numbers too much because otherwise I will just go completely insane.
Well, and that we kind of have the same thing where we have like a suit request, perhaps. Maybe.
Oh yeah, stream points came up, and that was totally a thing that most of us put on at some point.
And some crazy person, I don't know, maybe someone who intensifies every now and then might just request somebody who gaming who to play the Zusa.
I love playing supports.
It doesn't
He
have
also
any
loves playing the
weapons.
act guy.
Any weapons selected at all or mapped on anything, and goes into rated, and oh man, that was painful to watch. I'm sorry that I requested that today.
He
I don't play
may or
support.
may not be.
I have to
Our resident
I
apologize.
bully
With me.
supports. I don't play as them.
I have to apologize publicly to Emblem right now. I requested the Zusa, and he was not prepared. And yeah, so
That was something I should have checked.
but yeah, oh man, that was painful to watch. Like that thing is like one of the like anybody who's like, so how's the Zusa? My first thing is like, you gotta weapon swap and go practice your weapons in free practice for like 30 minutes, and then go into a game. Because you gotta immediately use the shotgun and the super explosion missile to protect yourself. So get some practice doing that. And yeah, so like not having anything mapped, I was just like, oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was very painful.
Yeah, some of these things with like 7 or 8 weapons, if you don't have advanced weapon swap set up, you are just in trouble.
For sure.
I found out the hard way that does not carry over from one, part preset to another. So,
Yep.
I set up an alternate set of parts. It's like, where are all my sub weapons? Oh no.
Yeah, they should let you copy paste over. That would be very nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Rob, I actually had one game with you on Ruined City. It's probably been like a month or so ago now, but I just remember you were actually in that suit, and I was playing to Georgia. But I don't think I was on Emblem. I think I was on my North American account, Seiji Hirata. We did win the game. Felt good.
Oh,
man.
nice.
Yeah, it was we were in there.
Oh, I wonder if that's the one I used, because I think I did run as this around a while back.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I know we crushed the enemy team.
Nice.
But yeah, other than GBO2 stuff and things as usual, I've been doing more Cyberpunk myself, and Christmas was an all-nighter. That was a thing. That got a little intense. But yeah, we've talked about Cyberpunk 2 times now, so time to bring it up. Here's our weekly Cyberpunk talk. No.
Oh no.
I really don't have much more to add. It's pretty much been talked to death. I guess Rob, have you looked at Cyberpunk at all or anything?
I've heard a lot of things, but I don't I don't know anything about it firsthand. My brother's been playing it, and he says he enjoys it fairly well, but I'll probably, that's one I want to get around to eventually, but just not on the docket anytime soon.
Yeah, like if they actually patch it and fix it, like in a year's time is what it's looking like, or longer, then it probably would be a really good game that could get recommended. But yeah, their executives and stuff definitely messed up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just that whole thing is just kind of sad, but also just, there's so many games that I want to try a year later. I still want to get a hold
Right.
No Man's Sky, because that's another one. My brother really liked it at launch, and he said that the everything they've done to it has made it even better. So that, just, I have a list. I have a list, and I have a stack of things on hand I haven't even gotten close to finishing. So man, I still need to get back to Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm not very far into that either. So
I mean, we say too many games all the time. Like,
Oh yeah.
For real.
I remember I was speaking of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I was like, okay, I'm doing my speedrun, guys. Probably next week. I was saying that like
Oh my god. That's
every week on the podcast. I'm like, okay, speedrun's coming.
Yeah,
And
I promise.
and then it's just like, but I've got to finish this game, and here's this game, and here's that one, but I'm still working on the speed run. We completed the game.
And I gotta get on that POE and all this other shit.
Yeah. Path of Exile just had a new
For
league.
real.
I've got that for a week, and yeah. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, as far as New Year's for me though, I kind of woke up because I decided to take a nap. Finished off the last plate of turkey, and so mistakes were made there. And I took a nap at 3, and I was like, okay, well, I'll wake up at like 8, and then I'll stream and do some stuff. I woke up, it was like 11:45, and I was like, oh, okay, whoops. I guess I could go live now, but oh well, I'll just call and wish my mom happy birthday because her birthday's on the 1st. So that's pretty much what I did.
Nice.
And then I was like, okay, well, let's just go back to sleep now, I guess, and we'll message or something. And then I was like, okay, I can't sleep. So I got up and I was just like, who's streaming right now? And should I get on and maybe play some Gundam or something? And then Alshi ended up being on, and I was like, oh, hey, you want a duo? And then Gustav got back on and started streaming some more, and yeah, then we played GBO2 for most of the night there. So that was fun.
Nice.
And then I hopped on Genshin for a little bit and caught up on the story. I actually found that there's a third boss now that I haven't been doing at all, that I could have been doing weekly. Oops. So that whole cinematic thing was pretty good. Like, I still don't know how I feel about that game.
I had to go on an extended break from it just because it was already kind of starting to feel like an obligation to me. And then I got to the food delivery quests, and they gave me one where you cannot get any kind of, elemental status effects, including wet. And then the second one they had me try to deliver was in a boat in shallow water.
You had to jump over the water to the boat. That one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was Oh,
I am so glad I'm not alone. But yeah, that was I did not have the patience for that. And like I said, since I was already asking myself the question, do I play this every day because I want to or out of obligation? It's like, okay, that's an uninstall, and I will just give this a good couple of months and see if I want to come back to it. I mean, I like it. It's a really pretty game. And I picked up Breath of the Wild this year, and of course there's a lot of similarities in gameplay mechanics, except it can't start raining and keep you from climbing things in this one. So that's kind of a major thing. But yeah, I don't know. I have enough things with daily quests I have to do at this point, and I just needed that time freed up and a little bit less frustration.
Yeah, I hear that, and the weapons don't break is the two things that everybody's like, yeah. But the
little contrivance.
by the way, though, that boat thing, though, you just reminded me of the boat thing. Like, I'm so glad I wasn't streaming that. Like, I was actually just straight up, what is wrong? Why? Like that. If you wanted to see tilt, that was a tilt day. And the thing is, they were giving out gems, like 60 gems to do all those. So it's just like, man, that's that's an extra day's worth of dailies just to run food around. And like some days it was like, oh, okay, I can glide over there. Okay, easy, done. And then some days it was like, now you have to walk. You can't get hit with damage. You can't climb. You can't glide. You can't sprint at all. Pretty much no damage. Period. So like you had to
As
like
much as Boogie the dinosaur will stand
you
on
had
you.
to slide down the mountain just ever so slightly without accidentally going too far or walking backward, because then you would go into climb animation, so the food would get ruined. And it was just like there was probably like 5 of them that I was just like, I hate this, but there's gyms, and the
Well,
boat one
to
though,
be
that
honest,
was the worst.
I am so glad to hear on a certain level. I'm sorry you had to deal with that, but I'm kind of glad to hear that it got worse after the one I quit on, because it just I made the right choice. I did not need that stress right now, so I made the right choice by just backing off from this for a while.
Apparently,
It kind of sounds like Magnum was prepared from playing his delivery game. What was that game you played of Truck
Death
Coon
Stranding.
called again, Magnum? It just
Death
sounds like you're talking
Stranding.
about that.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it sounds like you're
gosh.
just playing Death Stranding again, right?
I'm just spamming Truck Coon in the chat. Oh my gosh. Ugh.
No, but I wanted to ask Gustav. Like, Gustav, you've done deliveries. Is it anything like that where you have to like not get wet while you're picking up the food? I'm sure that helps.
Yeah, it would help. Most of the time. I remember the worst thing is winter around here because
Snow.
everything is iced over. And I started pretty early when I was doing that at the time. So just trying not to fall on my ass, especially in Detroit in particular, because they have a lot of like older buildings where they have nothing but elevation, big ass stairs, like curved edges on the steps and all this stuff. And I'm like, God, I don't want them to walk out, but I don't want to walk up either.
Need spike shoes.
Yeah, just start digging my cleats into people's steps. Like, I'll be fine.
But yeah, again. Oh my gosh, I've just been reminded of the delivery stuff. I hope they never do that again. That was that was pain. Like, next time I'm probably going to stream it just because it might be funny kind of thing. But that was me actually raging. Like
Getting over it, kind of funny.
Oh well, no. See, getting over it's difficult, and it's actually
like by design.
Yeah, this was like, we're dangling something you really want, and even though you're gonna hate this, you're going to do it because you really want to do a spin, especially since I'm going full free to play. Like that's my goal. I'm gonna go full free to play, and actually at this point I pretty much can make a video on it since I've kind of caught up. But as soon as I advance my world level one more time, I think I'm at as far as you can go or something. I don't know what that is, but yeah. But I'm pretty much, I think as soon as I advance it, I'll instantly go to 50 because I haven't advanced it in so long. So it's just like it's up at the top where it's like the XP bar, it's like 15,000, only I'm at like 70,000 XP. So I'm like, so
I had the same thing going to 35. I just got stuck on that for a long time, and I think I jumped to like 40, 41 when I finally got it.
Yeah, like that's one thing I do like is that you get to choose when you want the game to get harder, essentially, for whatever your experience level is for your characters. So
yeah,
at first I was like, wait a minute, is it just going to keep advancing and then eventually I'm underpowered? So, the game's trying to say, hey, spend money kind of thing, which is what I was afraid of. But luckily, that wasn't that big of an issue. So
yeah.
Excited that they released the O in Genshin Impact.
But yeah. Anyway, Rob, if you how was your holidays and stuff?
Not too bad. Fairly low key. Just spent Christmas for the most part with the family. New Year's, a friend of mine really wanted me to see Cromartie High School, which I had never seen before. That's a fun series, and that's pretty much how I spent that evening. That and just grinding out the last few boxes on GBO2 while I watched, because it's nice having 2 monitors. That's very handy.
Yep,
we recommend.
Mine's
a lot of fun. Freddie Mercury is a character in that show as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, on another side note, real quick, for New Year's,
Oh, no.
I got to grill some steaks. There was a calf that didn't make it
Oh, yeah, that's right.
from the people that rent the field, and they went ahead and took it to the butcher and brought some steaks over. My grandparents and got to grill those. Yeah, it was great.
Nice.
I love some good steak. But so real quick before we get into the um, you mentioned box grinding. There's been a lot of
Mhm.
people box grinding. I'm curious what
Mhm.
everybody thinks about all the box grinding.
Well, in my opinion, just having 2 win 2 space Tuesdays be some of the most frustrating days of my life prior to the invention of AB rooms. I am pretty much for it, because I think, I think it's just a major stress reliever. Anybody who is really just after those boxes or after their dailies can most times just go do that. And the people who, when you're actually in a mood to play and you have the time to do it, and you want to, devote time to just playing, you don't have to worry about all those other things, because there's an easy way to do it and you're done, and you can just play the game to enjoy the game. And I'm always for that.
Yeah, those rooms definitely kind of help some things, but
They did. I kind of expect them to try and crack down on that eventually, because there was an analog to that in GBO1, and they just changed the rules of how things worked several times just to make that a little bit harder to do. Like the disconnect penalty for being idle is actually carried over into GBO2 from that. That's where and why that started in the first game.
Oh.
But for now,
go ahead.
it's pretty nice.
It is a good thing to think about as to whether or not they'll actually go that deep or not, or if they'll just let that in particular slide. Especially with them
Yeah.
having to deal with the reporting system right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to go there, I guess, like, if someone has a really strong vendetta against AB rooms, they could technically say that they're being inactive in those rooms and like report, but I doubt anyone would actually do that.
Hopefully not. I mean, I'm certain the developers are 100% sure that, aware of that these are happening. So like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to do something about it, but also just I feel like in the intervening years, probably their understanding of how people play the game and why is maybe changed for the better a little bit. Hence why we don't have an energy system anymore. But
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
yes. But
I hated that
yeah.
in GBO1 and Next. This is the worst.
Mm-hmm.
But not to go too much into GBO1, but because we'll talk about it later. But the as far as the boxes go and box grinding, was it more of a resource grind for in GBO1 that you were mentioning, or?
Well, the way it worked in GBO1 is that there was a bonus that would pop up called the Haro bonus, and it would just give you, like, as I recall, just an extra drop or an extra percentage to one of your drops. It's been a while now, so memory's a little foggy, but it would just drops in GBO1 were different. You got like percentages of certain items after a match. You would get like a percentage of the plans for a Gundam, and then you would have to buy it when it was completed. And of course, there was paywall at a certain level for mobile suits, but I think I want to say level 5 was the paywall. And if you wanted levels like 5 through 8 of a mobile suit, you had to pay actual money for that. Eventually they gave you an in-game way to do it, but yeah, that was that. And you would get like 10% of a bronze chip, which is basically the equivalent of a 1000 DP bronze box. You'd get like 10% of that after a match, and you'd have to finish the whole thing to get the points. And of course, you could only play 3. You could store up to 3 energy and then play once every 2 hours. So that took basically forever. And also, if you weren't really clued into how the development system worked, which I wasn't, if you didn't just let things sit and not buy them, you'd have like 17 different things developing at once. Nothing would ever get finished. And since I'm trying to record as many things as possible for YouTube at the time, just like now, I would buy everything I got as soon as I got a hold of it. So I reached a point in the middle of the game's lifespan where just nothing would complete, and I barely ever got anything new because I just have like 6% of a Gundam Alex and 12% of a Goof Custom and all these things just sitting there forever and ever. And that was all stuff that they managed to refine and make a little bit smoother by the end of the game, but just it was such a pain to actually get a hold of anything to a certain degree. I mean, I really can't stress enough how everything about Gundam Battle Operation 2 is better than the first one. Like every single thing. But it is it really is true. At the same time, I would love to see somebody get that like going on PS3 emulation, just because I would love to see it again and see let other people see what it used to be like, so I don't sound like completely crazy sometimes talking about this.
No, I've been in there. I've played GBO1. It's rough.
Mm-hmm.
Man, like I complain about Battle Operation 2 latency in netcode, but I would never want to go back to GBO1. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. It was bad, and if they had the same warnings about you need at least this good a connection and please don't play over wireless, of course I never saw them because they were in Japanese. So I did both of those things, and I do not recommend it. Especially at one point we managed to have a microwave that interfered with the wireless connection. So that was, just begging everyone not to use the microwave every Friday night when I was, trying to get rounds together with everybody. That was a party.
You just hear a distant beeping like, oh no.
Uh-huh.
Could you not?
I don't think anybody, maybe people with certain like pacemakers or something have felt that sense of dread when they hear a microwave start.
God.
But just
you clench up when someone pulls out a hot pocket.
Oh boy.
But yeah,
but for that fleeting moment, you knew what it was like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so as far as the boxes go, kind of what was said in chat, if people were using some kind of way to, either an exploit or some kind of game mechanic to expedite gathering, whatever it might be, there's probably some balance issue. And with boxes, my fixed idea for it is kind of what they did once, where they gave us, what was it, 1 box guaranteed every, 3 games?
3 or 4,
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, so
They implemented it for a special event and then never did it again.
Well, it was because they messed up, wasn't it?
For that one? What do you
Yeah,
mean?
was
I
it
thought it
like
was for clan stuff that they messed up.
I thought it was they were supposed to put in the normal bonus of like 100% or whatever, and then because it messed up, they were like, "Well, here you go. Here's this. You can grind for them," kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I do remember that.
But
don't remember the exact circumstances, but yeah, I remember that happening.
Yeah, I thought it was for some weird reason they did it. I was just like, okay, well, can we get this all the time? I mean, I think 6, maybe 10 games, like 10 at the most.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think that would be fair. Get a box every.
That
10
is one
games,
of those
guaranteed.
things where it's just like they had the solution and we're like, no, that's not just an apology thing. Like you should probably just do that.
So, But
I mean,
that's...
oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Now, I understand that the boxes are basically there to encourage people to play more, but at the same time, just the fact that people are working so hard to find ways around that to get the boxes, I hope will tell them something, and maybe they'll just make that a little bit easier.
Yeah, if it was like play 10 games, then I'd go and just literally play rated or quick at that point, because I know there's something gonna happen. Which, I mean, what might
Mhm.
and as long as it would be rated or quick match, right? So every 10
Mhm.
rated or quick match, you're guaranteed a box. Go have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that
So,
could work.
because that way it's not custom games, so you don't have everybody funneling into like these 30,000 A win B lose rooms
Right.
to bid
Mhm.
for 3 years.
If they ever wanted to crack down on those, I guess that would be the way to do it. Like the easier kind of like open-ended way.
Yeah.
Well, and that way they don't look so much as the bad guy either by doing that too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, anything else on boxes or any ideas?
Well, I guess I can see where there'd be a problem. Do people actually have a concern or an issue with box grinding rooms? Maybe it's not my ear down to the ground in the right places, but I've personally never heard anybody complain about it.
No, right
Or
now
anything
it's
like that.
just the solution, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Well, is it the solution to a problem or the solution to make it easier that we're
I mean,
talking about here?
I
I
would
guess,
say it's a solution to a problem in
yeah,
general.
I'd say it's a
and
problem.
is the problem that people are making the lobbies and farming, or the problem that the boxes are
No.
hard to get?
Yeah, the boxes
Boxes
are
are
just a
hard to
pain in
get.
the ass to get.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we
Also, make
played,
sure I was on the right side of the discussion or understood the discussion.
but like for New Year's, right? Um,
Hmm.
so I got on started and I got my boxes within like 3 to 5 games. Just two, right? Because it's
Yeah,
new
because
new
there's
month.
two because of the rollover.
But
Mhm.
Gustav, like, we played how many games and you got yours like 3 games before we stopped playing?
Yeah. And it's
And
been like that pretty consistently because I've been trying to do some like early morning streams just to get some extra crates. I don't really do a lot of AB stuff, mostly because I just want to play the game. So, but it's also been a good insight as to how brutal it can be, especially when you have like platinum, because then you're not even talking about getting one or two and just like having to get that one last stingy crate, and like you're probably going to be doing it for a hot minute for all of those.
Yeah. Though once you get to the end of the month in AB rooms and everybody has platinum encourages to throw out, the boxes do come a little bit quicker at that point.
yeah, I normally get like probably 2 a day just from my platinum at that point, and then if I hop into an AB room, sometimes I'll host one. And pro tip for anybody wanting to get your wins out of the way, especially if it's Friday or Saturday or even Tuesday, host one yourself and throw yourself on a team.
Mm-hmm.
You get that platinum medal from somebody else, and you get your win. No big deal. But yeah, and then eventually, if you keep throwing yourself on a team, then they start paying attention to it, and everybody eats out. But yeah.
Like, that's enough out of you.
I had that happen once. Like 6 people just left because I kept doing that. Like 3 games in, it was like host slightly selected the outcome or whatever it says. And then
Mm.
it was like, or partially random or whatever it says, and then all of a sudden, just like the entire B team just left, and I was like, "Whoop, I'll bet. Okay, random next time."
This guy.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of the Japanese AB rooms actually put guarantees up in the room description that it's going to be random selection.
Oh, okay. So that's what a lot of the extra, like,
Characters are for.
yeah, yeah. This is why I
Yeah.
need to learn to read.
At least learning katakana can be really useful for Gundam related things if you're going to be playing with Japanese players or playing untranslated games.
for sure.
It definitely
though.
goes a long way. Even just having like, if you don't want to do that, like Google Translate on a lot of newer phones is pretty good at doing quick translations now.
Oh
Because I've seen
yeah.
a few cases where people will kind of complain about joining into a JP room and not knowing the rules. Then they get like ganged
Smacked
up
around.
on or kicked out of the room, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know." I was like, "Well, you know, you still violated the rules. I mean, it's your own fault for going into a Japanese room where you don't know what's being said or what the rules are. Like, the players aren't at fault. You are, right?
Yeah, that's
I'm
that's
glad you brought this up, though, Emblem. Go ahead, Rob.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say that is one thing. I'm really glad that the preset room descriptions get are translated, because
Oh, yeah.
if there's anything more elaborate and I don't see AB in the description, I know at least generally to avoid it, because it's like somebody's doing something specific, and I don't need to be messing it up for them, because I've done weird custom rooms myself every once in a while. Been forever since I did like a gun cannon boxing match or something like that. But yeah, if you can't tell what's actually going on there, it's kind of hard to get a custom setup like that if you're trying for something specific.
But yeah, like again, I was one of my things is when I first started playing, I would just go into a room and be like, "What's going on here with these box grinding rooms?" Which I didn't know that's what they were at the time. So I would just like go around and I'd be like, "Okay, cool, we're doing stuff," and then I would go capture a point, and then I'd have my team just melee me in place for 3 years, and I was like, what did I do? What's going on?" And this is before you would get kicked out. So yeah, so I was just like,
Playing the video game.
what? And then it was just kind of like, there's no difference between. I mean, why are you both losing? What's with this like draw? Because I'm pretty sure if you draw, you get the same points as if you lost. So why not play the game and have one side at least get a winning amount of points? But anyway,
And of course, that would change after a while, but yeah.
yeah. So now we do have an A win B lose. Mainly
Yeah,
because it's just faster.
once mix up was available for custom rooms, that's really kind of what put the gas on everything, because that's just you can
So easy to do.
get through a match in 60 seconds if everybody is on the ball and ready to shoot down whoever spawns in. It's amazing actually how fast those can go sometimes.
But okay, cool. Okay, so let's now go on to the O. And then we'll bring up the report system later. That's another thing to talk about here in a little bit. So I guess Rob, you're the only one to have it right now.
And
So
just
what do
by
you think?
sheer luck, I got it last night while I on my last spin. So had time to get a round recorded that'll go up on Sunday morning, and have a little bit of time with it, so I actually have some idea of how it works. So how it works basically is it has a beam rifle and beam sabers, and you can use one, and it will hit one time or four times, whichever one of those you're wanting to use. It has single shot or burst fire for the beam rifle, and one beam saber or four beam sabers. So, and it's pretty fast moving for what it is, which is enormous. So it's fast, but it really can get focused pretty hard. At least that was my experience in the first couple of rounds I played last night. It has enough slots that you can set it up, a bunch of different ways. I went for sheer damage. I'm going to go back and do beam defense because, yeah, I learned a lot of things about the Zeta Plus C1 last night, let's say. Because that thing that thing can tear the O apart in a second. But
Was
just
it humbling
beside
you a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit. But besides the weapon loadout, the other two interesting things it has going on is a new special version of the AMBAC skill that has reduced boost consumption in space, and also a new biosensor ability that I forget the specifics of what it does, but like the most interesting thing of what it does is that it about triples the time it takes for a psych weapon to lock onto you.
Yeah, it's a 200% increase. So yeah, it is exactly triple. So that's crazy though. Like,
Yeah, that's gonna be really interesting against Cubelays. I did not end up fighting any in the couple of rounds I have played with it yet, but I am looking forward to seeing how that works.
actually, Emblem, do you have the Cubelay stats up, or can you get those real quick? And
Yeah, it's
because
giving
I'm
me 1 second.
curious what the triple for that and the Toads Rider. We have anything else that has lock on? The Hama Hama, I guess
EXS.
technically.
Yeah,
The
Hama.
EXS, yeah. I mean,
I
I
would be a
noticed it.
little bit. I'd be a little more concerned if it wasn't for the fact that it can just be stunned normally.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
Although the scarier thing is that it has fucking priority 3. So unless you're at a Mark II and feeling particularly ballsy, it's gonna be a bit of a tricky deal to get in there.
Oh yeah, because it is the only general at 650 with priority 3 at the moment, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Pretty
Yep.
much the. Who
everybody
was
else
it?
is so
It was.
shitty focused.
It was probably Maniac who said it, but it was like pretty much a blue Gian at this point, because the reach on the
that's what I've
sub
been
arms
saying.
is absurd.
Yeah, you got the. Well, I looked at the damage on the 4 times, and I was like, wait a minute, do they actually hit 4 different times? This has more damage than the GAN. Just base damage. It has 2,900. 2,800 is the GAN, and I'm like, what? What? You know, and I love playing the Faz, so I'm like terrified. I'm freaking out over here. Help me, please. It has 0 melee defense.
I mean, I could. Mostly, it's just use your main gun and then just grind in them with your Vulcans.
Yeah.
Now the scary thing is when there's more than one of them, because you can only do that for one at a time. Faz is a very intimate suit when it comes to when it's trying to whip somebody's ass, because cumulative stun doesn't really spread very well on a lot of those weapons. And even though you can get some piercing shots, you only get 2 goes unless you're really trying to be conservative.
Yeah, I pretty much shoot once and then wait till it's about ready, and then I've pretty much got a time to shoot, I think, 12 missiles or enough to stagger once with the Vulcans and then swap back, and then by then you can charge up and it'll just barely hit the threshold to not overheat from the full charge shot. Or you can also swap to your 6 tube and stagger somebody again with that, because the stagger buildup is insane on those missiles.
Oh yeah,
And then go back to your beam, and that's pretty much done by that point too.
gotta give him the old back pedal because the arch on those is a little rough. They're too close.
Yeah.
Magnum,
But
I got those numbers for you real quick too.
yeah, go ahead.
Cubelay's lock on time seems to be about 0.8 seconds. Toad's Ritter, depending on which one you're using, the beam cannons are 0.7. The incom blades are half of a second.
Okay, so that's not too bad for those. I know I was looking at stuff like, I wonder if I get a Zeong in space. This could be a little awkward, but
Yeah, probably the older side community suits would notice it, but at the same time, they wouldn't want to be running into it anyway, right?
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah, half a second for the Dovin Wolf.
oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Xeon could actually
about the
probably
EXS?
manage pretty well.
Say again, Magnum. Sorry,
The XS.
let me pull it up real fast.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely would play the Zeong. I love the Zeong. Like that is
You
my.
gotta get those beam thingies, and then you had the consecutive stun on the mouth beam as well.
Yeah, so both head incom and reflectors are 0.7.
Okay, so that's not bad. So it looks like the worst is 2.4 seconds, and the best case is 1.5. So that's not too bad. But I mean, 2 seconds is a big deal in a lot of games.
It definitely
Yeah.
catches you off guard.
Oh yeah, I shot one and I was like, "Ha, take that!" And I swapped to do the income for the EXS, and I was like, "What?" oh yeah, this is how this works. Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Like the first time seeing it, it was jarring as all get out, but after that, it hasn't been too bad because now I expect. Also, it mentions on the skill for the AMBAC that it kind of stops movement or something. So how does it feel in space? Like, how does that actually work?
I haven't used it in space yet, but the way I'm pretty sure the description it for a lot of that is about the same as the standard AMBAC skill, which comes down to it kind of works like balancers in space. If you don't on a suit without balancers, it will just kind of stop you from it. It'll let you transition to something else a little bit quicker than you otherwise would be able to. And also, just you know how some suits will just do that little animation when you stop boosting, where they kind of stick their feet forward to break themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, MBAC stops that. So that's the big thing. You will just stop boosting and go back to normal movement immediately without that little pause.
Okay. Yeah, because I was trying to find a video. Someone linked me. I think it was Mareki. Linked me a video. I don't know if it was in my Discord or directly, but it kind of showed the movement in space. And
Yeah, Salty Walty has got a roundup with it in space that he just put up yesterday. So if you need another look at space movement, there's that as well.
but yeah, I was gonna try to throw it up real quick on screen just because I was like, oh well, this doesn't look too much different than usual. Only it seems like you can transition directions a lot smoother. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I was expecting from the description like you would just like it would be like reverse and back, where it just like you immediately halt and can just literally change whatever direction you wanted to, like on the yeah. So I thought it was going to be jarring to people for a little bit, but
It sounds
looks
like
the
it
same.
cleans up some of the issues of fanback that have already existed. Where like
Yeah.
if you aren't like in the right direction at the end of a boost, even with fanback, you'll still get a little bit of downtime or feedback, I guess,
Oh
from the end
yeah.
of the boost. Whereas this seems to just negate that entirely. Because even on the JP Wiki, they just say that the movements at the end of the high speed movement is canceled. It shifts to cruising mode. So it sounds like it's just a cleaner version of AMBAC in general.
Okay, so I found it. So I'll be putting this up right now. You hooked me up in chat. But so as far as I guess we can go over some of the stats and then talk about damage and stuff. Um, personally, I have to agree. Beam resist is pretty much the best way to go about like putting parts on the suit. I think full defense. Maybe you could not go with some melee because it starts out with about 36.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 35.
Okay, yeah. So
You also get plus 15 to both shooting and melee when biosensor activates too. So
oh
a double
wow, yeah,
bonus
that's
there.
right. That's crazy. So um hmm. Yeah, I might just say
I mean, I think
go full
defense is the best way
defense.
to go personally with it.
I was thinking you might be able to forego some melee defense, and then because you would probably put what level 4 on it, just so you capped it out at 50 because it would put it to 51. And then, I mean, if you don't do that, then you could just do what level 4, maybe 3, 2, and 1 instead.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on the amount of space I need for whatever else I wanted to put on there. Yeah. Sadly, I did not get it on the account where I have the level 5 melee part, because that would make a good probably economy of space for both things. But I will say that fully kitted out with the melee parts I do have on it, just trying the four saber downswing against the rocket. If all 3 sets of hits connect, it's 7,600 damage.
Nice.
Ooh.
As on
Oh my.
eat your heart out, MBL.
Oh
Mm.
my.
Yeah, I tried it in basically doing the downswing and doing a 2-hit combo in from upswing to downswing, roughly the same amount of damage in the long run. It's because the second swing does go down by 50%, so it's yeah. So if you can just land the downswing, if you're confident you can land all the hits, you'll get about the same damage out of it.
That's insane. Like, oh, why?
Yeah. And then the single saber neutral melee is just a straight stab. So since the beam sabers on that are pretty long, that has some really good range.
I've heard the secondaries attacks are a bit scary to use. I think it was just mainly the neutral or anything else, but I've heard a couple of people say that you don't want to use it as much. Just stick to like the downswing.
Hmm.
Does it
So I've
just have
definitely
like an
seen some
awkward
of those.
animation, or?
Well, I've seen supposedly it's like kind of awkward or something. I really haven't paid too much attention to it. I know when I was fighting some O's on stream today, they were mainly just kind of like combo into the sub, and they just do the downswing because it has that kind of lunging effect or whatever, and then
Right.
switching back to the other 2 beam saber or 4 beam saber thing.
Yeah, I'm trying. It has a downswing animation. I'm trying to remember exactly which one it uses. It kind of reminds me of the last swing on either the Vishdan Hugelgug or the DJSER. It's like lower left to upper right, but it's not
Mhm.
like as sharp a diagonal as a lot of suits have when they're swinging in that direction.
It's a lot more vertical, it looks like. It just turns into a Cthulhu monster for a second.
Just looking at it right there on space, from the video that's up right now, the that downswing in space is gonna be a pain to hit anything.
You mean I have a whole other axis of movement? You don't say. Maybe it shouldn't come out of the bottom of the suit. Whoa.
I mean, the good thing is with that special back, whatever it's called, the reaction something or another, like it actually looks like it changes direction, kind of almost like what they did with the what is it, the tropical test type Dom, how they changed its downswing and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh, just by like giving it more like forward thrust or
Yeah.
movement? Okay.
That seems what this has done. This, what's it actually called? What's the skill actually called?
Which one?
The reaction, the special ambac, whatever the.
Oh, I think it's just high spec and back. You're talking about, or the O's new skill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's something reaction, something
Um,
like 3 words.
yeah, I'd have to look at it on the English page.
That's
On the
interesting though, because
GP
that
side,
means
it's
that
like
they like
recoil attitude control system.
yo.
Dude. Okay, so there we go. I went ahead. I can pull that up real quick. I went ahead and played that video. So
Hopefully that's a skill they're a little bit more liberal with now that they've introduced it.
that
It'd be
would be
something that I
nice.
could see them add into older suits. Like, I don't think it needs to be
Yeah.
strictly 2DO.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're gonna do it retroactively with the tropical, right, and not even have a skill for it, just as the way the suit does it, then
Okay, so the
Oh, well, it's
English,
space only, so I don't think it would affect the tropical at all. Sorry, go ahead, Magnum.
the English one does say recoil attitude control system.
Okay.
Okay, I guess that's right.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought it had like reaction to it or in the name or something, but never mind.
Maybe it's different in the game.
Yeah, it may be the translation on translations on the website do not always match the game. I have found.
Yeah, it's scary sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But
Big ups to the one guy they had trying to do all that, by the way, because
for
man,
real.
the slow roll.
Yeah, you're doing a good job, buddy. Magnum, would you like me to go through some of the stats real quick?
Yeah, we can go
for
through
you?
the stats and kind of talk about some of the weapons and what we think of the tank and whatnot.
Sure. So it's a 650 base cost suit. There's only one level. HP is 20,000. Beam and physical ammo is 22 for the defenses. Melee defense is 36. Um, Melee and shooting modifier for the damage mods is 35 for each. And again, that gets plus 15 when biosensor is active. Speed is 135. Boosted speed is 235, so it's a quick boy. Default base thrust is 80, which is pretty substantial. Its turning speed on the ground is 81, 87 in space. It has level 3 priority. It has a special counter animation. It isn't just kicking people. Let's see. Slot wise, it has 16 top slots, 12 medium, 21 long. You can get in your beam defense. The standard fall off on damage, so you do 100% damage on your first attack with your combo controller. Second attack cuts it down to half, but the modifiers for each weapon varies. It's actually the same as normal on the single beam sword. It's 100 for neutrals, side swings are 75, and down swings are 130. But on the ×4 beam saber, the neutral is still 100% normal damage, but the side swings is 60% across 2 hits. So that's 120 if you hit with both. And the downswing is 65 rather percent damage across 3 hits. So it's 195% damage when you're connected for every hit on there. Movement for like the suit is normal forward movement, slightly reduced on the sides, and the backup is slower. There aren't a ton of suits that get that. The beam rifle is I believe it's E-cap. Yeah, it's an E-cap with three shots. Base power is 3,000. One thing to note, that does have a pretty high default stagger build up for a beam rifle. It's 65.
Oh,
That's kind of on par with the Tristan in some cases. The secondary beam sword, yeah. So the primary weapon is actually the single one, and that is beam sword for the O. It is at 2,600 damage. The switch time is half a second, so you can get that in pretty quickly. Its secondary fire that Rob mentioned earlier is a 4-round burst with an E-cap rifle that has 12 shots, and each shot has a power of 750, and you're able. Yeah, so you can move it. You can shoot it while moving, and the stagger is 25% per shot. So on
okay.
non-damage control suits, you can stagger them out just with a 4-round burst. And I guess if they don't have maneuver armor level 2, depending on how rounding goes, but that should protect them from that. And the 4 beam sabers has the base power of 2,900. It still has a half a second switch time. So the only thing to note is that the cooldown time is 4.5 seconds. So it takes a little bit longer. Probably might be something you want to lead with.
So, see, you said you didn't feel that it was as crazy of a suit.
Right, correct.
So, I mean, what do you think is its weak point? Because for me, I have the complete opposite take on it.
Well, I don't know if it could just be people doing bad builds. Every time, and I'm playing a Cubile, just for these examples, but every I run into, you just, and again, it could just be playing smart, but it just has maneuver armor. It's its only protection and has a dodge roll. So I'm just getting into situations where I kind of just wait out their boost, stagger them, knock them down. And I mean, basic Cubile stuff melts it pretty quickly. I'm not saying I one combo it or anything, but I don't know. It doesn't seem all that scary. Like usually unless I'm just getting caught and comboed on, the damage doesn't seem all that crazy. whenever they're connecting with me. Maybe it's just because they're hitting my shoulders a lot. And again, I'm not saying it doesn't hurt. Like the O seems to have pretty good damage and stuff like that. But just compared to a lot of the other suits, like I feel like from what I've seen when I play against it, it might not have enough to kind of help keep itself safe. Like there are a lot of suits that like I think a good Dovin Wolf would just kind of laugh at the O, but it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have damage control. Like it only has 100% stagger value. It doesn't even have maneuver armor 2 to give it extra resistance when boosting. Granted, you can leverage that a lot, but it I don't know. It feels like it's a little. It feels like a suit that came out before 650 was released, I guess. It doesn't have the dynamic stuns that you see on suits like the Dryson or whatever. Granted, it does have the secondary to do like stagger buildup, so at least it has that going for it. But I don't know. Again, I haven't played the suit personally, and it could just be new people getting bullied on. But I really just haven't been like overwhelmed. Like it's not a bad suit by any means, but I just feel like, you know, unless it's just something that picks up and people want to go back to the old way that we've been playing before everything got like long ranged with Dovins and EXSs and stuff. It might just be like the suit we see for the week or something like that. But maybe I need to play it more. It just it seems a little squishy. And again, that could just be based on builds.
My experience was that it is surprisingly fragile at times. Largely, I think, just because, again, I didn't have a great build, and also it's just such a huge target. I was pretty sure that, well, the first round I played on was Desert, and beam rifle is good, but I wasn't really used to how to best use it at the time, and just I could not actually get anybody stunned and without getting fired on from 3 directions. And at that point, at the ranges we were fighting at, that beam saber damage is great, but nobody ever got close enough to me that I was actually able to do anything with it in the first round. Now, second round, it did better for me in the jungle, where I had places to just get out of, the middle of everything. But, and again, a Zeta plus C1 with heavy stagger and just the ability to stagger you, transform, stagger you again, and then fire the beam guns. It can run you down really, really quickly. But in a little bit of experimenting in AB rooms today, I did find that if you're ready to just switch between the 2 rifles, it does have the advantage of, at least you can stun a Faz by switching from single shot to multi-shot fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It can accumulate enough stun to break through that fairly fast.
Yeah, that was my big question about like its secondary weapon, because I've been getting hit by it, and people miss a shot every now and then. I'm like, I'm a Faz, how did you miss me? But I'm not staggered, so I'm just like, okay, well, pew, okay, now knock you down, okay, shoot you with some missiles, whatever. Well, you're almost dead. Stand up so I can do it again. And I've been just really confused, but I was also confused with the Toads Rider when it came out, because I was like, I literally that night, again, it was probably their first game in it, right? But I took on 2 at once in a Faz. And when does a support ever win a 2v1 against generals? All I'm saying. So I was just like, pew, missiles, vomit more missiles, here's some Vulcans, okay, I killed one, okay, come here, and then I killed the other one as he was trying to run away. And why do you run? And yeah, that was... So I think what we've kind of got right now, because also the 65%, right? You can break Dovin Wolf's stagger value.
Yeah, one burst and then a follow up to machine gun.
Yes,
or beam rifle rather.
Yeah, so that's so you do your burst and then you do the main rifle and you'll stagger them. And so that was my big question: can it stagger a Dovenwolf like that? And so yeah, it can. So at this point, I think what people just need to do is do the burst, hit them with the main rifle, then go into a downswing, and you're gonna just delete a Dovenwolf at that point.
Mhm.
I think it's gonna be. I mean, obviously they got their shotgun incom thing or whatever it
Yeah.
is. So it's gonna you got to outplay them a little bit. But I really think this has the potential to be the Mark II of 650, where it just comes in and just smashes the meta, and then we're gonna see 2 or 3 of these in a game. And I, I really think it has the potential to do that. Now the thing is, it is huge, but you can have 50 beam resist and 50 melee resist if you want, or you can even go for melee damage to get that little extra bit of damage if you want to, and forego some of the melee res. But I think full resist and just going out there, getting a stagger, down swinging with the triple, and then backing up, swapping to your main melee weapon and down swinging or something, or just shoot them again, or either or is going to be the way to go. And then after you do that to somebody, you move on to the next target, and you just have everybody rotating around doing that, slaughtering teams. And we're going to have Mark II meta only BO. But I think what might be the case, since it is so big, right? The Gallus J has the same damage that or actually, isn't it more? I think we went through the numbers when the Gallus J came out, and I said we're gonna either see the Gallus J overtake the Mark II, and we finally have the Mark II killer, or it's gonna be too awkward to use. And I think what happened is the Gallus J is just too big and it doesn't have a shield.
Mhm.
And this might be the case with the O. It's just too big. It doesn't have a shield. You don't have any way other than your maneuver armor to break or to
Yeah.
not worry about staggers. And I think that's
There's a
where
reason that it has an ability to resist funnels, because more often than not, Keyblades are just gonna wiggle at this thing, keep its hands tied because of the flinch, and just mow it down.
I don't think that's as relevant as you guys think, though. Personally,
yeah.
just a more follow up on what I was talking about it. There were times when it was kind of rough, but the Cubela's biggest damage, I feel like, comes when you get a stagger confirm, and you pretty much stagger, knock down, disengage with the follow funnels, and then do another melee, and you just lock onto them while they're picking themselves up, which you have plenty of time to lock onto
Oh
them
yeah,
if you're
and I
not
mean that's the
distracted.
other thing too, is that
Hmm.
its melee in general is just faster. So I agree with that.
Because I mean, in the games that I played against it, obviously at first it's kind of like, oh yeah, it takes longer, and I still had an instance where I was like, oh yeah, that's right, biosensor. But I just
Mhm.
like switched to one of my other, I just switched like follow funnels again or whatever, or just locked onto someone else and just kept pestering Do. So I don't
I
know.
was actually really surprised at how much damage I was doing with the unfollows, because I the last couple matches of clan matches this morning, I actually ran just the regular Keyblade. And I was like, damn, this is actually chucking this thing. Anytime they would like get slowed up by something or just get knocked over, it's like, well, this is pretty good for a finisher, unless I can just move in and like smack them. Priority be damned too, just because the Keyblade swings are so fast.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Um, I I would hope it's got superiority when it comes to getting close and in melee like that, but like there's the beam shotgun from the Dovenwolf to deal with. That's a pretty scary thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Another. Oh, sorry.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, another thing I just want to mention about that four saber downswing is that it is kind of positional. So,
Mm.
and it's one of those things where if you throw a downswing with the Mark II, you're going to get you have to hit once to get all the damage. Same
Yeah.
with the big hand on the Gallus, but you have to be positioned correctly to get all 3 hits to connect for the O to get the most, to get that 7,600 damage out of that downswing. So it's going to be. I think it's going to be difficult, or a little bit more difficult, to make the most out of its melee than most of the other big melee hitters.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. And I think too, another problem that I have is that like unlike the Mark II, right? Which kind of is always doing something. And again, it could just be a shift in the suits it has to play against. But the Mark II is just so well equipped to like crowd control because you have two stuns, even though the goop can be a little bit awkward when using the bird line. But you have two instant stuns, or even in a 1v1 scenario where at least that like the higher levels of play, you really have to be competent in your 1v1s. And granted, in that case, the O has some of that too, depending on what it's up against. But you have that stagger, you get the stagger to start, and then if they somehow get out of your downswing follow up, you just switch to the goop, reset them, and then you just try again. And that could be kind of set with the O, stagger, reset, blast them with the secondary, and hopefully don't have damage control and do the exact same thing. But I don't know. The Mark II has like really good Vulcans. It can keep pressure on and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's that. That's true.
So I don't know. Like, I just wanted to lead everything or end everything with like, I don't think this O is a bad suit. I just I kind of wonder. Like, damage is good. I think it's a little bit squishy, maybe due to its hitbox, the fact that it's easy to hit with a lot of stuff. But I just kind of wonder. If it's going to stick, and it might, just so people can kind of get back to the way the meta was before. Because I think we need a suit like the O so that the Qubelay Mark II can come back out to play a little bit easier. Because people are out there thinking the Faz is a good suit to play because there's no Qubelay Mark IIs out there keeping them in check.
Hey, I'm actually typing right now about the Faz and stuff. But okay, so here we go. Fast talk. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
No.
I mean, I'm running one right now, but like,
yeah, there we go. Exactly. Gustav knows. No. Okay, so pretty much real quick. C1 versus Faz. I know that's been a topic that's come up every like other chat that I look and see, or even in my own. So the C1 is definitely the higher, in my opinion. It's got a little bit of a skill cap because of what the combos you can do with it, right? But when you get if you can knee stagger somebody and then shoot them with the hip lasers, and then you can transform, then you stagger them with the main beam, or you shoot them if you have time or you've repositioned or whatever. You can shoot them with the force shot to re-stagger them like that, then shoot them with the main beam to stagger them, and then bump them, and then transform, laugh at them, shoot them again for another stagger, and then melee. I mean, it's got like, it's the Hildoffer all over again with what it can do. The only thing is if you have somebody else on you, the transform kind of gets scary because all they have to do is look at you and shoot you with the stagger, and you're on the ground. But as far as just the one-on-one potential it has, it's insane. So anything like the O, where it doesn't have any kind of extra defenses from staggers, and once you hit that one direct stagger, yeah, you can tear anything up. But you got to get all those extra combos. It's like learning to get your drifts in and actually using a melee with the Hildoffer is a big game changer. Like, once I started actually getting used to transforming, sliding in, and then whap, and hitting them with the shovel arm, like, that changed my entire gameplay, because that's a knee stagger. The shovel arm is. I didn't know that. Like, that's insane. So you're
I don't think I've ever seen a Hildolfer use a shovel arm.
Dude, like,
just not playing him enough.
The only reason why I thought about doing it was because I've been looking at a lot of these like montage videos of them like popping out, shoveling arm, shooting, then swapping to cannon, then swapping back, bumping them again, and going through like a 20 stun combo kind of thing on a
like
dude.
using the physical animations to dodge stuff between transformations too.
Yeah,
there's some crazy shit that people do with those.
So I was like, okay, no wonder it got nerfed like 7 times. Okay, fair enough, touche.
It was all fun and games until people realized, oh, you can just stun it normally if you hit it enough, even when it's transformed, and then it'll just come to a crawling stop. I was like, all right, just do that then, just shoot it to death.
But anyway, the main thing though with the C1 for me in the Faz is I just like to shoot, and I like to vomit damage, and that's what the Faz is. And it doesn't have to worry about getting staggered normally. which is pretty much the same thing that I like with the MLRS. Only the difference is I gotta hold up my fridge door and angle myself half the time to kind of, make sure it's in the way so that people can't stagger me. And then after they shoot their bazooka or whatever and hit the shield, then I turn and I'm like, time to vomit damage. The fascist can do it. The only difference is it's got to sit there and take all the hits because it's not just the broadside of a barn, it's the broadside of 3 barns. But hey, so, and that's why I also like the Dovin Wolf, for instance, though. So it's kind of got the same deal going. That not being able to be staggered shock dampener is OP in my opinion. And then especially for supports, like not being able to just that insta stagger that a lot of generals can do, not having to worry about that is so big for a support player. But yeah, C1 is better. I have to admit C1 is better. I mean, it is the better suit. After seeing it in action and like seeing some top tier plays with it, I'm like, okay, I just need to get good because I've tried to do it in trial and I am just trash tier with the C1. Like, I don't know what it is. It does not click with me, even though I've been crying for a transforming flying support for so long.
I had the same problem with the Hildolfer. I could just never quite get the hang of everything you have to do with it. Now, advanced weapon swap has really made things a lot easier for a lot of suits that I used to have a hard time with. So I'm going to have to go back and try Hildolfer again now that I have that, because I think that and having more experience with transforming suits, even though, flying is a little different, I think those things together might make it a little bit easier for me to get a handle on.
It's Maniac.
Oh, did Maniac show up?
Yeah, he just said sup on my channel.
Oh, hey.
Hey, Maniac.
I saw he got to A+. Congrats.
Yes, congrats.
Finally happened. Let's go.
But yeah, the O, back to the O part of this. Yes. So here's why I think it's kind of sleeper OP then right now. But here's why I think there's a problem. And it's the same problem that we've said happens with every suit like this, is it has biosensor. So it pays the biosensor tax. If it didn't have biosensor, they would have damage control on it. I would bet money. Or shock dampener, one of those. And because it has biosensor, like I've seen them get in the ace match that I just played right before this. There was like 2 on the other team. I ended up being ace, and my team gets them low because that's what you're supposed to do. And then what ended up happening is I literally just saw like 2 of them clean up my team at 30% health, and I was just like, oh, wow, that's not pun not intended there, but like it finally hit me. That's where it is. That's where all the extra power is. Because once they were there, they had like what 2? You get an extra dodge roll, right?
You should, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like they gained all that damage. They gained an extra dodge roll. So they like staggered one dude and then like knocked him down, dodge rolled, staggered another dude, like just cleaned up my team. And they were all like 75% health, and I was just spawning back in. And then by the time I got in, it was everybody else was back in on the enemy team, and I was like, well, I should backpedal now because I'm alone. And it was terrifying though. So I think they're paying the biosensor tax or Hades tax or exam tax or whatever, where you have to have that up to really have the full potential of the suit.
Mm-hmm.
And in which case, stacking hit points rather than armor so that you get that you have more in reserve once you get down to 30% might be an effective thing to do.
Oh yeah. Ooh. I feel like it seems like a lot of higher end players, or at least on the JP side, once they get mastery of a suit, tend to not bother with a lot of the extra like offensive or anything parts unless they really just want to have like their big weapon be like a death blow. Because they just want to keep doing what that suit is good at for as long as possible.
Makes sense. I kind of feel like with the O we're seeing. I've noticed the first weekend is always kind of just weird with a new suit. Like if you play if you play something especially on Thursday night or Wednesday night into Thursday,
The old honeymoon period.
yeah, you can do absolutely wonderful with it, and by the time the weekend is over, everybody knows what to do against that, and it has suddenly gotten a lot harder. I'm kind of thinking that we might kind of be seeing that in reverse with the O, where nobody quite knows what to do with it yet. And once people have a really good grasp of it in a week or 2 weeks, it is when we're going to find out exactly what it can actually do.
That's exactly how I feel. What happened with the Toads Rider, because
I
that
thought
one,
the Dovin was the same way.
yeah, it just had too many weapons, and everybody's like, "What do we? I'll swap it." No, wait. Like I said, I took on 2 Toads Riders in the Faz, and like all they had to do was just downswing me. I don't. They got close enough to do that, and I just hit them instead. So I was like, maybe bad plus not knowing what to do or messing up their weapon swaps or who knows what. But the thing is, they should have just been able to hit me with their main weapon 3 times. It has a 0.5 second between shots. There's 2 of them. They just went pew pew pew, and I'm done. Then I'm dead. They could have just done that.
Mhm.
They could have just unloaded their main gun the entire time, and I couldn't have done anything. But nobody knew the stagger ratios or anything like that. So, actually, that's another thing. If we want to, we can look at those if you want to bring those up, or we can save that for next week and talk about the stagger ratios on everything, Emblem. Because I know we were
Yeah, I
curious
figured we
about
would
that.
save it for next week.
Okay, yeah, we can do
So
that
we
next
don't
week.
get too bogged down with info.
Yeah. So I guess any other final thoughts on the O? I guess we can go ahead and move into final thoughts on it.
It's definitely the one to beat right now. I feel like people have already gotten pretty aggressive with it, and it probably won't take them much longer to get a better grip. This week's gonna be a little scary.
Oh, I just saw a comment. Why is the O not a raid?
Oh god, that's right. That is something that
Now
we
that
all pretty
Bloodborne's
much
been
said
right,
when
now
it
we're
first dropped. Like, we've been a little bit raid starved around here, so surely the next one will be one, right? It'll be fine.
So, just to add on to the final thoughts, because I respect Jonah's opinion on the game. So Jonah said variety is the thing that defines whether a suit is good or not. That's why the C1 is a beast and not the Faz. When a suited is too predictable and it can only really do like 1 or 2 things at best, to him it's not a good suit. That's why he thinks the O isn't that good. Like maybe it's good at the moment, but he thinks it'll drop off soon, and he doesn't think the O will have a long lifespan in the future. And I can kind of feel that. It's not like he's saying it's kind of like a one trick, to some degree. So I can feel him there.
Yeah, I can see that. It does just because there are so many other things that have so many different options, it does feel kind of limited to have basically 2 different weapons you can use 2 different ways each. It's really kind of strange how basic it feels to some degree.
Well, I mean in my opinion, the Mark II was a big deal for so long. Now the thing is, it always could be doing something, so that is that's a good point that people made earlier. But the it's simple, right? What my thing is I think there's going to be suits that are like the O, for instance, and the simpler they are, the better they're going to just be as a natural thing in just rated matches with random. Now, in team play, you're probably going to want something that has a little bit more options and stuff that you can work together with. So I agree exactly with Jonah's point there. I completely agree, especially in team games. But in like rated matches with randoms, I want them to just know exactly what they're doing and not be confused.
Right.
Right. So that's, I don't know. Normally when, like again, when the Toads Rider came out, that was just free low at that point. I was like, okay, let's get my elo up. Let's just completely. And then the next day there was nobody playing Toads Rider, and I was like, no, I wanted to go back to
Damn
3 on a team. And then people learned how to play it like almost a week later, and then I'm like, no, let's not have 3 on a team. So, but yeah, I think getting control of the. I also think Scooty suits. There's a lot of people who don't like Scooty suits. I see a lot of people complain about that. They're like, "This is a Scooty suit." No thanks. And with that swing, you kind of have like back on ground kind of going on. It's pretty much the tropical test type problem on ground.
Mm.
So I've seen a lot of people do the downswing thing and just flop their swords up and down and go past me, and I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. I'm standing up, no big deal. So I think it's just a little bit of time is pretty much my final thoughts, and I think it has potential to be the Mark II of 650. But
Yeah,
let's give it a week or two and see what happens.
because that was the big thing about the Mark II is that it has several things to do what it does well, but all of them are really simple, and that simplicity allows them to just think about other things that they should be doing in the field with that kit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm okay with being wrong, because if the O is good, then it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's a bad thing saying this. It'll be kind of like a feel to a return of normalcy for the normal team comps at that cost. Because I mean, even when it was just the double Zeta and the Cubile, we still kind of had that same little fronty feel. Like everyone's like, "Oh, the game is too shooty," but now the game is like, maybe it's more like real Gundam. You don't see anybody stun and downswing and Zeta and double
It's
Zeta.
not
Gundam
just a
or
bunch of
whatever.
dumbass ace suits running around trying to bonk each other. It's like actually using the guns that are on your giant mobile weapons platform.
Yeah.
What a shock.
So, right.
Fucking guns. Who would have thought?
So I don't know, but we'll see, right?
Yeah. I've said this I think before, but I just like that I don't mind that 650 is getting kind of shooty, just because I have always liked that this game has very distinct and different feels at the different costs, and I'm perfectly okay with preserving that. If super long range fighting ends up being the 650 flavor, I'm okay with that, because for one thing, I'm pretty sure in like 3 or 4 months we're going to start having to wonder what the 700 flavor is like. So that's it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, I think the O does have potential. To see what people do with it in a couple of weeks will be interesting. And to be honest, if it does turn out to be too vulnerable and too easy to just focus to death, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the next patch at the end of the month. So,
Sure.
Yeah. Are they gonna buff their boy? Who's gonna get the axe?
And one final thing too on the O, as far as the meta shift. Honestly, I also like the shooty stuff. I mean, I'm a support that likes to pew pew. So intensify that barrage, right? So I mean, if we go, that's why I'm like, oh no, this thing is scary. So that's why, I think it has the potential for it, but I will also happily be wrong on that, because I like to pew pew. So let's keep the range stuff going.
Right?
That's what I'm saying.
Let them fly at me. It's fine.
Yeah, but like, I mean, we talked about it too. Wondering if this is kind of their outlook for 650 is just this new shift in meta. And
Is that a fucking bullet? Okay, no, it's not.
Yeah, I do think the O feels like an outlier with just what they've been doing in 650.
yeah. So, also real quick, Rob mentioned something about the 700. Do we think 700 would be too early if they do that for the anniversary?
Well, we were already trying to draw the line for holidays, right?
Yeah, which I already said that would be too early, and I would be up in arms about.
I mean, at this point, no, because the anniversary, we have another season to get through for that anyway.
I think it's going to happen by Golden Week, because we got those that data mine stuff that ends with the Gyaradoga, and with the number of suits we got, that ends about March or April, I'd say, if we get say one a week. And with I'm assuming the Gazelle and R will double up on those, because that just same
Kinda
way
old
the
stuff.
Zekus did.
Pretty weird if they
So
didn't.
yeah, so that brings us right around Golden Week in Japan, which is generally when some of the big events hit in gacha games, and I'm thinking that may well be when New Gundam and Sazabi hit, is towards the end of that, with the Gyaradoga coming in. Alternately, they might hold them back for the anniversary with just like the low end Char's counterattack stuff coming in at Golden Week, and then holding off for the rest, the way they kind of staggered out the Zeta stuff initially. It's tough to say, but I think it is. We probably are going to see 700 by the middle of the year, probably at the latest.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the second anniversary or the third anniversary. I think if they're going to introduce 700, that feels like what makes the most sense to me. Although I would like to see 650 fleshed out even more.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Can we actually get a native 650 support, please?
At that point, it's like, come on, we got a 50 disparity here. It's fine. We just throw it in there.
Well, the mock definitely seems like it'll fill that slot.
Yeah,
here
hopefully.
at some point whenever they decide to put it out. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, I could see it because they always have their little, like, I'm guessing they're gonna have another stream presentation thing, and then we'll see a new artwork for the game probably that has the new in it. Most likely.
That's kind of why I think this next anniversary makes more sense, because they've been pretty consistent about like changing the art with the new suit. And if they do 700, like, I don't know, I'm not really sure what suits they'd introduce it with, because they don't necessarily release a Titilier suit right away, but New Gundam is so popular that I think they would want it to be like the title screen suit and like the new image and stuff like that, just off of that kind of stuff alone.
You know what would be crazy? I like how they do side story stuff and just random things. Can we get the full armor new? If we get the full armor new, my wallet will die that day. That is the one suit that I would well on, like, guaranteed. Like, I would go out of my way to well on the full armor new. Like, give me that support. Give me that giant gun that just, I'll sit there and charge for 50 seconds and then just one shot the world. Let's go.
We start getting some of the MP versions of like the Zeta, Double Zeta, or even the new when that comes out. That'd be nice too. Fill out some of those cost ranges.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway.
I knew Gundam would be cool too.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we can hop into the rest of the patch notes. And let's see, we got they just went ahead and have the same normal suit in there, it looks like. But we got a new level of the Palace Athene and 2 new levels of the Bola votes. I mean Bolanote.
Good old bear votes.
The bear suit.
Go Winnie the Pooh back.
Actually, what did you call it, Emblem? Forest bear or something?
Yeah, I think it like literally translates to forest bear or something like that. But I usually just call it the bowl of oats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's I think like forest bear is the Japanese nickname for it.
But yeah, after the Palace Athene buffs, I think it is definitely a better, if not straight up top tier support, especially at its lower cost. Oh, can we look up that real quick? The Palace Athene's missile damage to shield. That's something I'm curious about. But yeah, any thoughts on the Palace Athene or the Bolanote?
I was gonna say, despite the spotlight on the Athene, it really just seems like people are using the Hamahama more. I have not really seen that many palaces at all.
It's a shame. I
can't
really
do
enjoy
it.
the palace. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just saying I couldn't. They don't have the stat increase for the shield damage.
Oh, they don't.
But
Okay.
go ahead.
Oh, that's all I was going to say. Really, I just
Oh.
enjoy the thing. It's fun to use. I haven't used it in forever, but I'll have to see how it does because I don't think I've even used it since the patch. In fact,
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I like seeing it.
it definitely needed the changes that it had.
Yeah,
It,
you
it
do.
could maybe use one more, but those missiles and the ability to, have a better camera angle because that's really cool that they changed the camera angle for when you're jumping because everybody was like,
Mhm.
we can't really see, but this is the easiest way to use these missiles. And so we said it last week. I think Gustav said it. It's really cool that they're paying attention to how people are playing things.
Yeah.
yeah,
But overall, I
Because
think
that's a pretty strong nuance, especially since it's been a while since it's been in prominence.
oh yeah.
And I think they just realized that that's why. So good on them for trying to keep up with that kind of stuff.
I think it could use a little bit more defense, and that would kind of pull it up to actually being top tier. But I think it's close. It's definitely a very viable support.
I think people
It's
are just
fine.
like coming to appreciate the Hama's like versatility a little bit because it's a bit lighter on his feet and can at least evade a bit better. There's something about like that era of like really big ass suits that kind of rub people the wrong way. You think about like even the newest Pale Rider, like it has a sleeker profile, but it is fucking massive. There are certain instances on Impact Site where they can't even really hide from like beams behind the buildings because they're just like, he doesn't see me. Smack! It just gets the top of his head grazed by a full Phas beam or something else stupid like that. And I think the Palace is one of those first few suits where it's like, this thing is huge.
Yeah,
And it just has so
big.
many things that can get hit, including its like missile weapons and stuff. So it was rough, but I feel like hopefully people just kind of learn that, like they learn things like the Dovin later on with those weapon rotations, and it'll still do the job. It's still really effective.
Yeah, that's my thing with it. It's the weapon swaps. So it's kind of like the Zusa. You don't see too many Zusas right now, but the ones that
Mhm.
have been playing it and are really good with it, like if you're a raid trying to approach one,
Yeah,
they're gonna
Zusas are like a
stagger you.
different animal. They're like a raid boss now. They just put like dots down and just make you go where they want you to go. That shit's weird.
Damage
So,
control is pretty rough too.
yeah.
Hmm.
yeah.
So I feel like getting the weapon swaps on the Palace, especially now that the grenade is actually more viable to use, because before it was like the Type B's missile, only it's a single stagger grenade launcher. But yeah,
Mm.
that's nice that they actually fixed that because it was just like so slow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think once people get used to weapon swaps, it's definitely up there. What do we think about the Bolin though? I'm just like, cool. It claps if you can get there, but I
It's
just
a worse version, yeah.
I just saw a ton of people just get wrecked the past couple of days with the Bolin Oak at like 650. They're just getting completely destroyed.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of those suits where you turn around and you see it absolutely wrecking something, and the next minute it's just getting absolutely obliterated. It is the epitome of raid life, encapsulated into a single suit,
I only trade 1 for 1.
and yeah, or one for
Nah.
none if I'm.
Yeah, I was about to say
Yeah.
the Bolin Oak, it's one for none because you can't do your combo because you have no protection after you initiate.
Yeah.
And your beam rifle was just like the Jarjas before, and they thought it was too strong and nerfed it. So now it's actually fair, and your missiles are. Well, I just suck with missiles, so I can't say too much about that. But give it the stun resistance during melee, and it'd be infinitely better.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah,
You would think, right? Considering how intimate you had to get with those combos and how slow some of the windup is on those downswings, that they would have at least granted it that much.
Yeah, I don't that's kind of
I
weird
mean,
that they
Manko's
didn't
a
do
good
that.
point. It's one of those suits where it to be like perfect in your raid play. Like,
Mhm.
I don't feel you there because I mean, if you if you overstay your welcome, you get punished super hard for it. So you really have to know like when it's safe to get in and like exactly when you need to get out. So I definitely don't disagree.
It's strange because you have that, and then you have the Night Seeker V that is very similar, and it even has less priority while having to do all that. And it's interesting to think about the fact that you're not really supposed to be there cycling through your weapons to like just clear through somebody. Sometimes you just need to use those in case someone tries to intercept you on your escape, just to move away.
But yeah, it that gimmick of, I will say, the gimmick of the
That's
false
false
flag.
beacon.
Yeah, like that tricked my team for like the first 2 times, and then like after that, my team was like, "Wait a minute,
Yeah.
there's
The
6
minute
of
they
us
see
on
something
radar."
slightly round and look at their team comp and are like, not many poos among us. Get this guy out of here.
Yeah, I kept doing the support me thing and stealth suit, and then like after 3 times, they were like, "Okay, we got you, bro," and I was like, "Yes, finally."
And they're like, ooh, free points, let's go. Come
Yeah.
here.
But it was kind of funny. They were like, we were doing the standoff thing, where everybody's poking at each other, and then all of a sudden from behind, I see like the 6th person on the team, and I'm like, support me, support me, support
This
me.
is a 5v5.
And then like everybody just like turns. Like I see on the radar just this rotation of everybody's marker, and then I'm just like, okay, I'll continue looking this way. They got it. And they just like collapsed on him. And I was like, oh man. I mentioned that in your chat, Emblem, earlier. That was that game when I was like, the dude on your team, that Bolin Oak that was on your team, when he changed from that, like that was that guy. He got it was
Okay.
it was gross. He just got destroyed.
Yeah,
But
the
yeah.
Bolino just gets bullied too easy, man. It's rough. It's fun, but it's rough.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I either have a really good day or a really bad day with, and I think that's pretty much it. You either hit that round with it where you are just hitting everything exactly right, or you just get demolished.
Yeah, it's either a montage reel or you're just in clown shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if there's no other thoughts on that, go ahead and talk about the other banners, which that is one of the banners. We've got a banner for the Bullen and Palace Athene. The Bullen again, is 2 levels, so you can get the 3 or 4. That is a 2-star though, so if you end up getting a gold crate, you have a greater chance at the Palace Athene, while the silver crate will be the Bullen. So at least they're not 2 3-stars that you're competing for. And we'll save the question for which one and would you recommend spinning on what banner. But there's that one, and then the next banner they have is the New Year's boosted supply drop. So what do we think about this banner? I guess I'll go over it real quick. You got DP for the first step. At the lowest you can get is 300,000. Then if you get a silver, it's 500,000. If you get a gold crate, it's 700,000 DP. Step 2, of course, I get the gold one because I didn't care about it. But you get 300 of whichever modification kit you want to add to your pool of modification kits that they just keep vomiting at us. I wish that was more DP at that point so I could actually use my other modification kits. But anyway, the big things here. Step 3, you have the Double Zeta level 1, the Bawu level 1, or the Hama Hama level 1. And then finally, in step 4, you get the O, the Cubile, or the Zeta level 2. So you can get, well, 2 up to, if you go all 4 steps, you can get 2 either really good or decent suits. And sadly, I have to say the Double Zeta and the Hama Hama are the probably the worst 2 to get out of the 3rd step. But I definitely want the Double Zeta myself, or the Bawu. But yeah, what do we think about this step up?
Personally, the only thing that I was gonna get new out of 3 or 4 was actually the O itself. So for me, it wasn't that great, but that list isn't that bad. I really do agree about the second one being kind of shitty. They've really just replaced so much with just giving us those upgrade kits to the point where it just feels unnecessary now. And maybe for other people who are more avid about it, it's fine. But like, I would have just been fine with any other currency.
Well, again, with that, time for my modification kit rant. But I don't know if you saw that, Rob, but on their post when they were talking about when they added, what was it, captain? Is that the new rank?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the new rank is. When they added that, they said only 9% and up is waiting. So less than 9% is waiting to go to the next rank, which means, and I would have been one of the people in that category. So that means less than 9% of the player base has more DP, or the same or more DP than what I have, because essentially your rank is equivalent to, or proportional at least to your how much DP you have, for the most part anyway. So
Yeah.
I'm struggling to get, like, right now I have like 800,000 because of this event and whatnot. But the thing is, I need a total to use all my gold crates. I need 2.16 million DP. To use my silver, I need like 2.5, I think. And to use all my bronze, I need another 2.2 million, something like that. So yeah,
Jeez.
so I need 6 million DP to use every modification kit I have. That's a little,
little much.
yeah.
Yeah, I am right there with you. I feel like these modifications do cost a little too much, because I have barely used any of them, just because I tend to want to hold on to a certain level of DP in case there's something that finally drops in the store that I haven't been able to get a hold of. So, and just it's enough that, okay, I can get this 3-star up to another level of you know modification, or I can get like 3 or 4 things out of the shop that I don't have yet. It's not really a good a good value for me, unless it's something that I know I'm going to get as much as possible out of that hangar upgrade. I've done it on the Cubalay, just to get as much out of that as I can. I'm working on maxing out the Methus, just because I can get its range damage to just slightly north of 80 if I get all those upgrades. So yeah, I've been wanting to try that. So that's the one I've paid for right now. And on the lower, more affordable end, I also did it to the I got the level 2 Zaku Marine type, and I decided to do that because the bonuses look decent for it. But I just don't do it very much, just because of the cost, and it requires a lot of just forethought and commitment on my part to decide to actually want to do one of those. And for a lot of them, just I'm not too concerned with having the decrease in the time it takes to set the bomb, or the increase in the time it takes to steal it. They sound nice, but they're not they're not things that I think are going to be useful in every single round, the way an extra like 5 points of range damage are going to be on the Methus. So it's just, I don't I think they just need to lower the DP cost on it, because it's some interesting upgrades at times, but the value is just not always there.
And the other thing I can't stand with it too is some of the changes seem to be fixes to the suits. Like, it's like, well, this thing obviously has this weakness. It could use a little bit more of this, and they're like, yeah, here you go, modification kitted all the way, and there we go. It gains the extra whatever thrust or resist or whatever it probably should just have to begin with.
Yeah, the goof has that problem. That was one of the things that pissed me off when I first saw it. I was like, just give it to the suit. I was just locked behind your little currency thing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Also, I was quiet for a while because I was doing some hardcore digging for the last anniversary stuff, and I just found it. So you have
Okay.
a comparison for that.
ooh, well, what do they have?
So last year, besides a really cool wallpaper, which this year was very unfortunate to not have,
Mhm.
um, on the first step, you got either 100, 1, 2, or 3 star hangar tickets. Which with the new stuff now, I kind of like that they give you a lot of DP. Like even if you just net half a mil, it seems good. Step 2 was either 1, 2, or 300 recycle tickets. Step 3 was one of the level 5 defensive parts, so it was either beam, ammo, or melee defense. And then step 4 was either the Hyzak custom, or just the Hyzak actually doesn't like the custom. Um, the Rick Dom, or not the Rick Dom, the Rick Diaz, that's what it's called, Ricardo Diaz, or the Hyakushiki level 1.
Hmm. I think these are a little bit what we have this time is a little has at least a little bit more relevant meta suits.
Oh yeah, they're a bit more direct with like, this is the kind of shit you were trying to get this whole time, right? Have fun.
I feel like for the time that the Kyakushiki was probably a solid analog to what we're getting this year. That was a very popular metasuit. I want to say around the turn of last year. Feels like. So that's pretty well on point. But the other two, yeah, definitely not. Rick Diaz is fun, but definitely not as desirable at the time as the Kyakushiki was. And the Hyzak was just kind of there.
But I have to look and see because, like, I feel like this was really, maybe it wasn't. I can't remember exactly when they changed it. But if this was like early in Hyakushiki's life, I actually think the Hyakushiki didn't really get notably better until they buffed it.
Yeah, they gave it a
Um,
dodge roll.
well, I'm just talking about the damage because, like, Hyakushiki, they spec for space, um,
Yeah.
and it
Oh
suffered
yeah.
because of that. Because, like, Rob, I don't know if you've noticed in stats for some suits, especially when they have space specialization or something like that, they'll tend to
Mhm.
lean more heavily towards the range stats, um, and they'll kind of tone down the melee for no real reason. And I feel like the Hyakushiki had that problem at first, and I almost had to like go back and correct it because I know like they adjusted a downswing damage modifier.
Oh yeah.
I believe was one of the changes they made to the suit. Because
Ah,
I
yeah.
actually think the Hyakushiki suffered until they buffed it.
That was one of the memes though too. Was the Mark II was the best raid in the game, and I think that was also the period where like even the Tetra wasn't like what did you have at that time? Like the Tetra, the Shiki. I mean, there
Yeah, the
wasn't
Mark
Shiki
much.
II,
was
no.
one of the more used ones just because he had to make do, especially if he didn't get the Mark II, which was me for a long time.
Yeah, 500 and 550. I just remember seeing, especially around that time, just if you had a raid, it was probably going to be the Shiki, but that was just because that was about all that there was at the time. And I just
Yeah, that
remember. Go ahead.
that or GPO1 beam bazooka hung in
Oh
there
yeah.
for a
Yeah,
Oh,
really
I
long
love
time.
that
that was
suit,
another one.
but I know a lot of people don't care too much for that one, but that's still that's one of my favorite suits. That's like top 5 favorite suit of all of Gundam is the GPO2. I love that suit. Um,
It was definitely strong when it like in its first little bit. Like, you know, I don't think anyone would deny that. It just kind of is falling behind a curve now. Um,
yeah.
you still get good games in it, but it can definitely be a little bit tricky, especially since you're such a big target. And
Yeah.
kind of the same problems that the MLRS kind of runs into now. Everybody just has an easy way to dealing with it. Because build up stagger is so like, I mean, technically if you're a boss, you could just shoot past the shield anyway, but
Right.
it's becoming even more easier now.
Hmm.
But Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The Shiki went and hit me with a full combo, and like I just remember being like, "Wait, guys, we need to look at that." So I went back and looked at the replay, and I just noticed that the Shiki did less damage with its melee combo to me than the Mark II did, and I was just like, "What?
Oh no.
What?"
Yeah, the balancing for the suit was just so bad when it first came out.
But I mean, that was like any suit though for that cost. It was like
You're not
even
wrong.
like I mean, obviously the GPO1 or sorry, GPO1, GPO2, it's more of a tankier kind of raid, so you have some burst, but you're not gonna like one combo a support even sometimes, depending on the support. But like you know, it was like, oh my gosh, literally the Mark II does more damage with its melee than literally any other suit, and then they're like, okay, we'll nerf it, guys, don't worry. Here's a little slap on the wrist, 5% melee. It's like, what?
Yeah,
This is not
bad.
a nerf. But I mean, it technically got nerfed over time, so I'll take it. But so which banner would you guys spin on? The base banner for the O, the New Year step up banner, or the Palace Athene and Bolinoak, and why?
Hmm.
For me, I I'm gonna do the New Year's because
Yeah, see, the New
I
Year's is
need the
actually pretty good all around.
double Zeta. I already had like 60 some tokens saved up. Um, there's been an enabler in chat, so there we go. There's one step, and then I have 5 more days left to get tokens before I run out of time. So that's going to be the rest of the tokens I need, and so I can get the all 4 steps that way. And then on third step, sadly, on the first step I only got 300,000 DP, so I'm pretty sad there. But like I said, of course, step 2, I got the gold modification kits, no big deal. So I'm really scared on the last 2 now because they're probably want my luck on that one. But anyway, step 3 though, I do need the double Zeta and the Bawu. I technically don't have the Hama Hama level 1, but I'm honestly not too interested in it. Even though I love that suit, I still think it needs another buff. Um, step 4, I need the Cubile I'm going to go ahead and modify. I've already modified it, but I can use the modification points. So I could literally use everything in step 4. If there wasn't so much to get from those 4 steps, I'd be rolling on the Palace Athene banner, to be honest, because I really like that suit. So, if you don't have the Palace Athene or you need some higher support, it's not bad. And depending on what health value they gave it at 650, is going to determine whether it's viable or not. So if they did the Mud Rock treatment, then, well, rip. But if they did like the Hama Hama goes from like what is that, 16,000 or 17,000 to 22,500?
Wow.
Yeah, the Hama Hama goes up crazy. Or
Pretty
did they
considerable.
wait? Did they up it to 18,000 now? Either way, if it's 18,000, that's still a 4,500 increase in health from just one level up. So
I'm
I
loading
hope
the hammer.
The multi-hammer.
Yeah, good old translations. Yeah, so from level 1, it goes from 20,500 to 22,000 HP. Is that what you're talking about, or was it a different
wait,
stat?
which one?
The Hama Hama?
What's its level 1 health?
20,500.
Oh, is it 20,500? Oh, which suit am I thinking of? I thought it was only like 18,000.
Sure, it's not the Mud Rock, is it?
What if it is?
Okay, well I was wrong on that, but I knew it was crazy amounts of health on the level 2.
Mhm.
But
Rob, just to fill you in, I'm just poking fun at how the stat scaling on the Mud Rock is big sad. I don't know if we've ever compared the some of the higher levels, but it's like not even
It's so
15. It's like
sad.
a 500 health increase or
yeah,
some
per
nonsense like
level.
that on the higher levels.
The full armor 7th also suffers from that. Like the 651 only has like I'm not even gonna say a number now because I'm probably gonna lowball it at this point. But I feel like it has like 17,000, and it's just like what every other suit at that cost is like 20k plus.
Mhm.
So
They gave the old boys some painkillers. That's all they could do for it. Everything else is goodies.
Yeah, here it is. So yeah, the Mudrock level progression is 13,500 at level
Mhm.
1, 14,000 at level 2, 14,500 level 3, and then they gave it a whole whopping 500 additional HP at level 4 at 600. That's 15,000 HP. It was like, whoa,
And their infinite
Jeez.
generosity.
yeah.
and the damage on the
500
weapons
HP.
didn't get buffed either.
No.
Oh wow.
So it's
Yeah.
just doing the same shit with slightly more health. It's like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, they definitely need to fix the scaling on that one. But
Yeah.
yeah, the newer suits when they scale up to 650 normally have a big health boost. I know the A1 steak sauce also has a big health boost. The Zeta plus A1 goes up to 20,000 at level 2. But yeah,
Anyway,
but yeah, anybody else on the banners? Which one would you guys spin on, and what's your thoughts on that?
I'd probably agree with the anniversary banner.
Mm.
Guarantees on gacha games are always nice. And even though Battle Operation doesn't have a pity system, unlike the multiplier banner, which if no one missed the last few episodes of the podcast, you know, the multipliers are a trap for the most part. Like,
Mhm.
don't do it times
Don't
5.
do it.
Yeah,
It's
I'm putting
not
that
that
montage
isn't the
together.
best.
Don't be me.
But
Yeah, I downloaded that, Gustav. So I'm
Oh, did you finally?
I'm piecing that together right now. I've got to clip
Oh,
those
the
parts out.
pain.
Oh man.
Man, it's not even so much nothing to multiply by nothing is still nothing or whatever, but it's like the fact that the stipulation for the pity is just a higher rarity crate means you're still gonna be like up the creek. You're more likely to get like a level 6,000 Grandpa Gundam than you are actually like the banner suit or anything else.
yeah, I mean, when I talk about pity rolls too, I more mean like how Romancing
Black
Saga
Medallions
or Saga Universe has it to where like after you roll so many times, they give you that currency you just buy the thing you're wailing for.
Yeah.
Something like that would be nice in GBO2. But that 1 in 3 is probably some of the best odds you're gonna get at getting any suit in this game. So if you really want the O, roll on the New Year's banner.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I just mostly did singles on the Ozone banner because that's the thing I was going for most, and also I didn't want to throw that kind of money at the game. So
Right.
but if you can comfortably come up with that kind of money or have the tokens on hand, that is probably the best banner of the lot, because the the Bao is probably better than the Hama Hama or the Double Zeta, but it's none of those are bad in my opinion.
Mm.
And yeah, but and yeah, in terms of getting the O, your odds are probably better at that point than they are on its own banner. So you may as well go for it if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I luckily I decided to save tokens because last year I did 4 of the times whatever step up thing they did, and I got literally 0 3-stars. And I did 4 of the 5 steps is how many tokens I had. I had 100 and something tokens. I was like, oh dude, I lucked out. Yeah, this is gonna be great. 0 3-stars.
Oh no.
All Medeas.
Get those weapon
Actually, there was
collections.
probably 1 or 2. Yeah, and they were mostly weapons. My weapons shop is opening soon. The problem is I gotta find the storage, and so that's why it's not opened up yet, guys. I'm sorry. It is, yeah. The weapon thing has been bad. Like literally, this step up when it gave me the bronze crates, I had a lot of oofs in chat because it was literally like all weapons and one repeat suit, and they were all like 1 star, and it was just like, yep, this is about right. So
Yeah.
I'm like, if I don't get the O on the last step, I'm gonna be like, I'm done.
You're done until the next one. 'Cause I
Yeah,
said
pretty
that
much.
I'm already thinking about trying to at least go through the rest of it at some point.
But here's a funny one, Rob. The was it this past anniversary event? I got
Mhm.
2 in like the span of 2 minutes. Black Medeas.
Nice.
Oh wow.
And guess what they gave me?
Super Napalm.
Grandpa Gundam.
Level 1 Grandpa Gundam.
Yes.
Oh wow.
I got the rarest kind of drop you can find in the game twice in a row in like no time. Oh, and then another 3-star gold box that had another level 1 Grandpa Gundam. I still
Oh
think I've
no.
got the command for that as a clip that pops up.
They really
Um,
gotta change. That's so brutal that
that was
ugh.
that was one of the first times I was actually fully tilted on the any kind of like the gacha boxes. I was like, okay, guys, I gotta step away for a minute. I need to go hit something.
Yeah.
Magnum, why weren't you happy? That's the Tiddlier suit. That's the mobile suit Gundam, man. Like, what's
Easy
not to
Magnum
like?
turned into EG Kyle for a second and just had to lay into a wall somewhere.
Yeah, pretty much. And yes, for people in chat asking about the Black Medea, yes, it is a thing. It's a guaranteed 3-star awesomeness thing. And actually, is it guaranteed 3-star mobile suit? Is that what it is?
I'm not 100% sure.
Not
And
sure.
So I've only ever seen 3 stars out of them.
It will definitely give you a Grandpa Gundam.
and yeah, it is the rarest thing that
They also
drops
have
off a
that
box.
other animation, right? Where it's not just that it comes in, but it fakes people out.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
then
you can get the fake
goes
out.
away. Like yeet. No.
Yeah, so it'll be like a normal Medea, and then it'll just be like, whoop, and then swap out just instantly. Like what?
Mhm.
Ha-
That was really cool when we finally saw the animation like circulate on Twitter. That was neat.
So yeah, it's insanely rare. I literally had never seen one till the anniversary, and then I got a third one too, and that one I think was like BD2 or something, level 1, and I was just like, okay, come on, guys. But that one was off stream, so I
Right.
was still just as disappointed, but not, yeah. Ugh.
Hmm.
But anyway, so yeah, back to the three times or 4 times, 5 times, whatever. I saved tokens this year, and I was trying to warn everybody, and so hopefully people saved up because this is a cool step up.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, if we don't have anything else on those, there's a free 10 spin for the New Year bonus, and with a guaranteed 3-star mobile suit at the end. Hopefully, everybody's getting some good stuff out of that. Now, that is the entire pool of suits, so good luck not getting repeats.
Right. But free is free. They gotta add some sort of stipulation, I guess. They don't really have to, but they're gonna.
I think my 3-star was like a level 1 Blue Destiny 3 or something like that. It was something I had some 3-star I had forever. I man, it might even have been like the level 1 early production Gelgoog now that I think about it. It was something ancient. It really was.
Early pro sounds about right.
Oh yeah, that was my 3-star for the one 3-star I finally got out of that step
And
up was an early production level 5, and I was like, great. And then it immediately got requested in chat for me to play it, and I'm like, no,
oh yeah.
no, I'm not.
I wonder who that was. Her.
Actually, I was gonna play it, but then they weren't in chat, so then I just returned the points.
It was like there
So
you
I
go.
was like, okay, they disappeared. Yeah, here you go, have your points back. But the oh, and then I got the weapons rack level 5 as well. Yeah, ooh. But anyway, oh, okay, these are the wrong suits. I don't know why it took me to the wrong. Oh, I guess the English one doesn't have it, but I remember what they are. The premium metal suits that you can get right now is the Zeta level 1, which is actually pretty awesome. Can recommend. So if you are the Welling type, then have fun with that one. That is a good one. The second one, no, the last one's the Marasai, which I always call the free one, but technically, if you're kind of a newer player, there's a chance that you won't get to a platinum by the end of the month. And the longer you've played, the longer you've played, and the more repeats you get. So like right now, we had the 10 spin. So when they actually give out stuff like that, then normally you can get to it pretty easy. But there is a chance that you can't get the last one. But from what I can tell, it's pretty easy for the most part. You just got to get some boxes. That's the main thing. You got to do the box grind. So I think it is guaranteed, but I haven't. I from what I can tell, I can't say that it's actually free as the last suit. But yeah, it's the Marasai. I think level 1, and then I'm trying to find what the middle suit is. Does anybody know what that is?
Not on top of my head.
No.
I have to go to the Japanese site real quick. Okay, we'll come back to that. But yeah, if anybody has any thoughts on those, if not, we'll move to the ticket shop.
Long beam saber is nice. Zeta Gundam can be fun.
So we have the Hyakushiki level 1 in the ticket shop. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
We already talked about it pretty much. So yeah.
I will say that the buffs felt pretty good. I actually had a match in it recently in space where I was like, yeah, I just have to do my usual shit, and it actually works out now. So that was like one of the first few like really high speed maneuverability suits that I actually got, and I had to buck up against a lot of Mark IIs in it. So like going autopilot wasn't too bad with that.
DJ Magnum.
Oh, okay. Is it the level
Level
2?
two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Oh, there we go.
Death.
Thank you. So yeah, DJ level 2, pretty good. Definitely solid with that shotgun. I mean, that's pretty much the main thing that saves that suit, is it having that shotgun.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We didn't see too many Sares in clan matches, but we did see a regular DJ. Some people are just, I guess, pretty accustomed to it. And yeah, that shotgun, considering everything presents the broadside of a barn kind of target, you're definitely going to put all that on somebody in high cost.
Definitely good for taking out Fazes.
I can
That
see
Faz
yeah.
skipper, it's like, ooh, no.
Oh, also on a side note, I love playing the Hyakushiki now with the Shrapnel Bazooka. Shrapnel Bazooka feels juicy. So
Dummy seek damage.
yeah. And now you can actually hit people with it, which is amazing.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
I just always hated where I'd be like, yeah, perfect shot, and see no damage numbers at all.
Like, got him.
I'm
It's like in the anime when the dust is clear. It's like, did I get him? I mean, you did, but you just didn't die.
Yeah, I haven't tried the shrapnel bazooka for that since the buff. I want to give that a shot, because that one, with a couple of times I tried it, I could never really get to work for me. I really like the hyper bazooka shrapnel version with the barzam in specific. That I feel is a pretty good combination.
Yeah,
that was a big revelation for the Barzam early on.
Yeah, the sad part for me is the Barzam level 2, where it has the Mark II to compete with. Mark II has better defense, better health, better pretty much everything. Also better melee, crazy melee, and you only lose like 5-10% damage on the shrapnel. So it's like, just use the Mark II if you got it, which is kind of makes me sad. I wish the Barzam would actually win out on the range damage there enough to warrant using it, but
yeah,
the Mark II just has so much more going for it.
Yeah, I think what Barzam really kind of has going for it at that cost is the fact that it was a lower rarity and people were more
Mhm.
likely to actually be able to get their hands on it.
Yeah. But the 451.
450 definitely makes it like a big fish in a smaller pond for sure, just because of how it can move,
Oh yeah.
akin to the Mark II.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, Yakushiki, probably the one if you don't have and you want a decent raid, you need something at that cost. That would be the one I would recommend out of this list. The other ones, by the way, Jiragu level 4, Gotcha level 4, and the GM Sniper 2 level 3. So you can buy all of those in the DP store, and if you like them, then there you go. that's
Good old,
that's
good
all I
old
gotta say.
Elephant Man. Still sticking in there.
Oh yeah.
But anything else on those?
Punch.
It's
Oh
so
my
stupid.
gosh.
It's two priority.
It is level 2 priority. Why does it?
Necessary.
Oh my gosh, you just had to say it.
No,
Ah.
now here's the thing though. Okay, I was gonna say at least the Zoc has it too. Otherwise, I was gonna be upset. Like, how the fuck does this? It's like several times bigger, not, but it does. They should get that to the Zommel,
But
even though
why
it has
does
like
the
baby hands.
Yeah, right. Oh, that would be
That'd be hilarious.
T-Rex arms, dude. But why doesn't the melee focused supports have level 2 priority? Why full custom? Come on.
Because they do dummy thick damage with their combos.
I guess, but I mean, give the C1 even more melee priority, please.
Gotta get in there when it's smart.
I guess the C1's up against all melee priority 2 stuff, so I guess that wouldn't be fair, except for now we got the O, but
I was gonna say it's totally fair now. I was just gonna be like, what did you try to do? It's funny though because like C1s act like they're steak sauces all the time. They will go in there for the swing. They give zero fucks. And I think it's because alarmingly it tends to work out more often than not. It's the same kind of thing that people were doing even with the Hama.
Yeah,
That's a better job at it. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh yeah.
I was just gonna say, I swear, even now, some people just don't expect supports to melee at all, which
oh yeah.
which you know, when we get to the GBO1 section of I will talk about a little bit more, but yeah, that is an expectation that is long past its prime.
Give him the old exclamation, "Nani?"
Let's see. We got, speaking of GBO1, we're almost there with that. So we have the Xeong in the DP store. This would be a perfect time for the Xeong cheat strat. I need to get on that.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Destroy all the bases in space. Go. But yeah, that's my pretty much big strat for getting up to. I was up to A in space by literally playing nothing but the Xeong at 550 and killing the enemy base every game. Because
nice.
I'll get like 2 or 3 people and I'll just kite them around with the Xeong. And then the only time somebody stops me is if they're like one of those GPO1 FB players that are like god tier at the game and are new typing all around me. But other than that, the Xeong's too fast for pretty much everything else.
He definitely wasn't the first one to do it, but I still blame him. It's your fault.
But let's see. And then we have clan stuff. So I guess the big thing we'll talk about clan stuff is the new suit.
Yeah.
Any
The
thoughts?
Dowas custom.
Yeah, any thoughts on what we got or what this thing's gonna do? I mean, mine's just
Holy shit, it's a 450.
yeah. So instead of just the low cost stuff, I mean, this makes me think we might get like a full armor slave wraith in the clan stuff, possibly, because they're going with higher stuff now.
Could do.
If we want to go to spoiler territory, I could definitely see a couple of those included suits being clan rewards.
Oh yeah, top left for sure.
So this suit specifically though, what do you think it's gonna be? Personally, I feel it's gonna be a peasant dodge that has a grenade that jams. That's pretty much my
Have you
take
seen
on
it
it.
in action?
No, is there any videos of it?
Oh yeah, it looks scary. It's like a Dom with the GBO2 downswing, man.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. Okay, never mind. It's even
Hold
scarier
on,
peasant dodge.
Yep.
I think
Yeah,
Bio put a video in our Discord.
Yeah, if you can
One
give me that link, I'll
second.
pull that up, and then we'll look at that, and then the other big news though, real quick, while you're getting that, is let's see, next week. Do we know? Do we? Here, I can look in game faster than I can bring it up because the
Sorry, in our general chat, we have those T-shirts from our gameplay and
oh no.
Jackbox.
apparently the Dowas has like a standard chest beam, so I'm assuming just like a little beam that comes out or whatever.
Yeah, it's just like the
Okay.
Brick Dom, right?
Mm. Or no, the
Brick Dom
RD2.
2. Yeah, sorry.
And your favorite, the Burj, the
Oh, here
Barrage.
we go. Yeah. Well, I mean that's why I like it so much. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's pretty much a peasant dodge. Only apparently it has a crazy downswing. That's insane. But
Well, technically being an older suit, because it's just an RD2, unless it's newer than the Peasant. I'm not sure actually.
I think it is. If I remember, it's supposed to be like the last Dom variant actually developed during the war, so it should be pretty much the top of that chain, which makes sense since I think the Peasant comes in at 400 and this comes in at
Right.
450.
Baseline.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But as far as clan matches go, next week on the 9th, we have 300
Time for
4v4
normal
simple
people.
battle, tropical desert, and it's at 8 p.m. Pacific. So we got our
Yeah.
late night, so we can get in there. Sadly, only the top 3 clans will get the suit.
Yeah, we got
And
the shot in on that.
yeah, so this is only week 2. So this is 42nd. Then after that, though, it goes 4th through 10th for the next 2 after, and then 11th through 40th. So until the 47th, so we got 5 more weeks, and then it'll be top 100. 41 to 100. You can get this.
I just hope when it gets around to that, they actually have a time I could actually get on there, because yeah, the ones that are like 11 o'clock at night my time, I can manage, but yeah, I can't do like the middle of the night, early morning stuff too well. That's been my main problem with clan matches.
Yep. I feel like they need to just do like they can keep the same thing they've got. So one of every 4 is late, but they need to have 12 hours apart. So, you know, where it's like 7 a.m., then it's 7 p.m. Or is it 7 right now in the morning for the, or is it 6? No. Yeah, it's 7, right? Yeah, 7.
Well, it's 4
Apparently, it's a
a.m.
shotgun style beam.
Oh, it's a shotgun style
Interesting.
beam.
Yeah, it's supposed
What?
to be similar to the SZA. I'm trying to get
That's
the video,
cool.
but
Oh,
I'll
that's
just
terrifying.
read I'll read the
That's awesome.
description right now. So, chest beam is the scatter like the SZA or Dovenwolf. Neutral is a front stab. Downswing is a Stamen downswing. I can't find a video, unfortunately. It has Mark II Vulcans. Grenade that creates an electric cloud that does damage over time.
Wait, what? The grenade does and jams?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a jamming
But
grenade.
they said
Yeah,
in the
but it does
description.
damage over time. Holy.
Okay, here we go.
Wow.
I couldn't find it, but Bio got it for me.
Okay, you got it? Okay. And then
Yeah,
I'll
we are
bring
pretty
that up,
generous with this
and
thing.
we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and show the video.
I will say it's someone else's YouTube video, so I mean, I don't know how you feel about putting that on the podcast itself.
Yeah,
but,
I'll put it in the description.
me take a look here.
But I think we can see people playing it. It seems pretty silly.
So the by the way though, as far as if they were 12 hours apart, that'd be 7 p.m., 7 a.m., and then like at late night for us it would be 11 p.m. and then 11 a.m. And I think if they could do that, then there's 2 time frames. As long as they keep the leaderboards up, just they lock it off where there's only 4 hours a day that you can play essentially. I think that would be fine. Okay, there we go. Muted. And come on. Don't die on me, computer. I only need you to last another like 3 months. Wait, what?
Okay, it's got the same for its neutral. It's got the same lunge that the O has.
Oh, on the
And
single,
actually,
beam saber.
Yeah, with single beam saber.
Gotcha.
And actually, yeah, looking at the animation, pretty much what the O's downswing is a stationary version of the GBO3 and Dowas downswing.
15,000 health, some good defense too, especially for melee.
Yeah.
Okay, so apparently I can only watch this in like 140p right now.
Yeah, you are using a lot of bandwidth on a lot of different things at the moment.
Come on, let's
fast Vulcans.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Yes. Yeah, the Vulcans. You said Mark II Vulcans, and they actually
That's
have
what they were saying.
They actually have the damage for it too. That is insane. Only 40 shots. Yeah, let's get into something going on here.
They seem to stagger pretty quick though.
Oh, dude, that is a shotgun. That is amazing. Oh my gosh. And that's tight. That is a very tight beam spread.
As it should be.
Looks like the grenade does about 400 to 450 damage over time if you're stuck in the middle of the cloud, but it does actually also stagger too.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. When I saw it though, I was so sad. I wish they had given the Methus something like that. Like the flash game is probably better, but because I know the Methus's loadout, depending on like what you're looking at, has a weird like beam chaff grenade or something. So it'd have been nice to see them include something like that with it, but it's probably too late for them to make any adjustments. But it'd been neat to see something like that because I always wanted them to have kind of like this is when I wanted the Methus to be a raid with its 70,000 beam sabers, but like having some kind of grenade that you could throw that would like protect you from beams, or at the very least, like while you're in the field, it reduces beam damage, maybe downgrades the stagger or something like that. But you could essentially use it as like almost like a Thunderdome for the supports, where you just like chunk a grenade at them, initiate, and then while you're clapping on them, the generals would have a harder time staggering you at that cost. If they're running their beam weapons or something like that, it'd have been a nice little like interesting tech thing. Probably wouldn't be very good, but it'd be cool.
Yeah,
get a flavor win.
Okay, so my
yeah, that looks like fun.
Let's see if I can downscale it just to throw it off. Let's go to 240p. See if that'll work. But the does the main beam bazooka, does it actually is that just a normal stagger, and does it pierce?
It doesn't like it pierces, but it does like a normal stagger.
That shot looked really intense.
Although, yeah, it looks like it could. Because it looks actual thing that comes out looks just like the GBO2 BB.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, that looks really intense. There we go. 360p works. Hallelujah.
Jonah gives it the seal of approval. He says that's a variety he's talking about, and it looks OP.
Oh yeah, this definitely looks OP. At
Like if this shows up in pubs, it's gonna get focused, but when it gets any momentum, it's gonna be scary.
oh dude,
Because you think about how crazy it was when the peasant first dropped, let alone having a kit like this along with it. Like,
yeah, the peasant was one of the only things I feared at 400 early on in the game. I was like, this thing looks terrifying.
It really was scary when it first came out. I just there was a good like month there where I just could not deal with that thing.
Yeah, the peasant was like the reemergence of Mobile Suit Dom Battle Operation 2. It was so scary.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can get to the grenade. But yeah, so I think I just. Here we go. Yeah, that damage over time and jamming. That's crazy. Yeah, it takes what, 5? It looked about 5 hits to stagger.
Yeah, since I have to be bathing in it.
Yeah, 5. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that thing looks terrifying. Pretty hype. But anyway, just before we get into the GBO1 stuff,
Let me in.
I want to ask real quick, what do you think about the report system, Rob?
I don't think it's a bad idea offhand. I just don't think it's going to end up working out very well in the long run. The way they talk about it, it seems like they are going to be fairly careful about who they who they actually suspend and who they don't. They say they're going to check the footage and all that. I just beyond a certain volume, I don't think that's going to be possible, and it's just going to end up being used against people at some point. And I'm not looking forward to that when it happens.
Yeah, as long as they don't actually put in an automated system, because that's always been kind of the like failure of anytime they put anything like that in. I know there's just people who like in Xbox Live, there was the thing where you could just name report somebody, and after like 100 name reports, it doesn't matter what your name was. You'd have to change your name and stuff like that. So anytime they automate things, that's essentially it can be exploited. So hopefully that doesn't happen. That's been my concern. Like again, supports for me, it's just been muscle memoried in, and where I play claw, so I just use my index finger, and so I never have to really worry about it. So I'm using my index finger to always do the chat command. So I'm just like, okay, support me, or then I go, down to and then over for a stealth unit. So it's not like it's taking away from what I'm doing, but I've just muscle memoried it in to be like, help. So I'm just curious to know, because I get chat restricted every now and then from the quick chats. Because if you do it, if you do like help support me, take the melees, and then support me real quick, it'll actually chat restrict you. So that's what I'm kind of afraid of, because I'm like, well, I mean, like today it worked great. I said support me twice, and then they were like, okay, Bowling Oak, and they just started turning and going, But when it doesn't, and we lose the game, does that equal 2 to 4 reports? And what does that mean?
Vacation time.
Yeah, I think it depends on how much you do it. I think I think you're right to be concerned about it. I have seen it has basically cut down on the tells I get and send tremendously. I'd say since it happened, just in a way that's actually it's kind of lent a perverse relaxation to the thing, because it's like I may set a call for help once or twice, and at that point I just stop, because if nobody's actually going to show up, I don't want to get reported for spamming the help tell. So at that point, it's like, okay, I know nobody's actually going to show up, so I will just go on about my business and figure out what I can best do here. It's stupid, but it actually makes me think about it less and get irritated that nobody is showing up less, and that has made for a smoother experience for me in the stupidest possible way.
Mhm.
Like
I
I
mean, most of
definitely
the time when
more.
people spam chat tells in my matches, most of the time it's just me roasting them during the stream. So like,
Yeah.
so I really have like no like expectation or respect for the tells anyway. So I'm not too concerned about it.
Yeah, like I said, mine's just kind of muscle memory now. But the thing is, I'm actually kind of the reverse. I'm actually thinking about, oh, how many times have I done that? Right? So it's actually taking up more mental resource paying attention to it. Also,
Mhm.
funny thing is, I love how many more times you see people put sorry. Used to, you would see sorry maybe once or twice. Now I see it like 10 times a game.
Well, the interesting
Mhm.
thing is that very early on, that used to be the way you would end a loss, right? People would just say sorry, and then after a while that went away, and it all just kind of got mushed into good job, which can also be very sarcastic in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one I've seen a lot less of too, is people sending good work before the round is over, just because
Mhm.
they're, sick of getting killed and probably going to spawn in less. I've seen less of that, and I've seen less of people, deciding not to spawn in too. They will stick with it a bit more, I think, even when it is going really poorly than they would previously.
But I will say, I'm glad that they're trying to do something. The only problem is it always sucks when people get caught when it wasn't intended for them to get caught by something.
And essentially getting caught between the cracks of the system itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if my power goes out, like every now and then my power will go out in the mornings, so sometimes I'm trying to get morning dailies done. So my power goes
Mhm.
out, and then say my internet decides to drop, then that's a penalty. And I've
Well,
had
yeah,
that
actually,
happen a
for
few times.
example, we had one of our players today during clan matches. We were going up against a team with just like potato internet, and they yeeted the room because of that. But when they dropped, they got a caution on the first one, and then when we got into the team config with the next one, they'd also dropped, and then that was enough for them to actually get penalty one. So they were just out of clan matches.
The one, like the first time they upped the penalties for people who dropped out of clan matches, there was like an error with it, like the very first week it happened.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And poor Maniac got dropped out of a match and got kicked straight to penalty 2.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh
Yeah,
man.
that was I felt terrible for him. That was just really painful.
The other thing too with those, they also upped how fast it is to like get the penalty now with that, which is kind of interesting because I think they did that in response to people leaving because they could see the enemy's rank. Because if you're not
Mhm.
playing against high rank people, you're not getting the max score.
As many points, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
yeah, so there would be higher teams yeeting people out, taking turns because they're going against lower ranked players, and there'd be lower ranked players yeeting out because they weren't going against high enough ranked players.
Or they were going against high and they just wanted to
Or they
deny them.
yeah, that too.
Mhm.
So I think they could probably lower that again, just because now that you can't see, you can only see their connection, you can't see rating. But yeah. But anyway, do we want to go ahead and get into some GBO1 stuff?
Seems good.
Sure.
Okay,
Um,
so
I mean, I guess before I just start blathering at random, is there any like specific subject you want to ask about?
yes.
Hmm.
Okay, well here's one real quick. I saw on your channel the complaint. Well, not really a complaint, but it was one of the suits, and then in the title of the video was like and lag.
Oof.
So yeah, we kind of already talked about it a little bit, but so how bad was the lag issues, and how much has it improved with GBO2?
It really has improved tremendously, especially if you are on a wired connection for GBO2, which I recommend heartily to anyone who can make it happen. But just we've all had the experience in GBO2 where we will melee and somebody will just, you know, snap us out of the air and put us on the ground. Just the counters out of nowhere, and that was pretty much a GBO one way of life. That was every day, every match, just a counter from nowhere, with just no indication that that was what was about to happen. Just sometimes from someone who was not even on your screen, and just the very occasional teleportation issues you'll have with GBO2 were a lot more commonplace. They're just a whole variety of just really bizarre things that until they stopped happening, you start to take for granted for a while. Just oh man, so many just adventures in that game with bad internet.
Was there ever a zombie type?
Like people who were supposed to be dead and
We're
kept
just like
fighting.
still moving and hitting
Yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah. I hate when that happens. But yeah.
Never had that I remember. It's not impossible, but it's not stuck in my mind. That just reminds me of the thing in the very earliest like Gundam Battle Operation Next beta, though, where if you got killed once, you would spawn back in, and nothing you did would affect anyone else in the match for the entire rest of the time. That was that.
That's
So
weird.
basically, whoever kept from dying longest in that beta run would win the match.
So now we have the opposite then.
Was
Oof.
there ever a true lag type? And what I mean by that is like a invisible type.
I don't remember fighting anything that was completely invisible. Just one of those things where you would thought you'd have shot somebody and then suddenly they were like 20 feet to your left.
Yeah, I both of those instances, I've been both of those, and I have them both clipped out as highlights. So like literally, I was completely invisible when I planted a bomb, and the dude couldn't see me, so I could just like stab him in the back, and he never knew I was there. So I like he ran and sat down in his suit, and I just started shooting him, and he was just like looking around, like I was like, is he just trolling? Is this dude trolling? And then like, so I've had it happen a few times, and then I've had people like message me like cheater and stuff like that. But it's
Lag
literally just
switch.
connection problems, which is just hilarious.
I had that happen in the Alex once, and it was just like, I'm in the middle of shit, and no one's paying attention to me. He's like, I'm on the hill, like on a mountain or something, just beating the dog shit out of people. And every once in a while, they would notice, bang, 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 and then all of a sudden I'd be gone again, and they're just like, what is happening? So it always feels dirty to win those rounds, but it's also just hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like, should I stop playing right now? Is this
Should
unethical?
I just not? But fuck it, because otherwise I'm gonna end up fighting a Phantom anyway.
Yeah, so it's just like, I'm like, is this an unethical win right now? What's going on? But the most of the time when I notice it, which it hasn't happened recently, which is good, but when I notice it though, most of the time it's like, oh no, my team's dead, and I'm in the middle of the enemy, and nobody's pew. Melee in the face. Okay, cool. I'm invisible. Let's go. Oh, it's an ace match? Come here, Ace. You have no clue. I'm the best assassin there is. But
Nothing personnel.
But yeah, since it sort of came up earlier when we were talking about supports in Melee, that's something I do want to mention about GBO1. Very few supports actually had any melee attacks whatsoever in GBO1. The gun tank, the gun cannon, the Jim and Zaku cannons had no melee attacks whatsoever.
Wow.
Oh.
They had a counter tackle, and if you tackled too soon and blew your tackle, you were defenseless. Matter of fact, the bonus where they refill your boost gauge if you successfully tackle, which we've had throughout all of GBO2, was only added about halfway through GBO1.
Wow.
So if any two things attacked a support in GBO1 in the early days, it was dead. Because there was absolutely nothing left you could do once you got your counter tackle off. So that's
big yikes.
Yeah, the just I cannot to the people I know who had played GBO1, I cannot describe to you the excitement when we saw in the first trailer the gun cannon throwing a kick. That was just the best thing. The fact that supports would actually have melee, the fact the gun cannon could kick things, that was just that was a great moment.
Maelstrom's emote of the gun cannon putting up his dukes was amazing. Kind of see where it came from now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was him.
So, was melee a big deal in the first one, or was it more shooting, or did it go back and forth?
I'm trying to remember. I feel like melee in the early days was not that pronounced because it was one of those things, because of the latency, a lot of people did not want to get in there. That's why a lot of the older players like me, when GBO2 started, when it first started, I mained Zaku 1 Sniper, which also didn't have melee originally, incidentally. And that was because just sitting back and shooting at things was the best way to deal with that lag, because getting up close was an incredibly risky proposition, because you didn't know if you would get countered. You didn't know if, you could not reliably stun someone and melee them in a lot of cases. It was difficult to do that, especially for players outside of Japan, because of the latency. And it was only towards the end of the game where really high damage melee suits started showing up. The Ramzagok was an absolute terror in GBO1 when it first appeared. I mean, I probably told the story before. You probably heard it from somebody that Maelstrom just had a round where he was in the Ramzagok and we all decided to play supports, and he actually, out of pity, retired that after that round. He never played it against us again because that round was such a bloodbath. Just that they
hit me and hit me. That's so funny.
It took a while for melee to really come into its own in GBO1, and also I feel like towards the end of the game, it was only in the very last year that we started to see some of the advanced weapon swapping we see so commonly in GBO2. And the game itself was really not set up for it, because instead of the 4-direction quick swap, you would hold the swap button and use triangle and X to move up and down the list. So that to get good at that, to get good at rapid weapon swapping, and that is still was a very difficult thing. I mean, Salty is just now, I'm told, starting to experiment with the advanced weapon swap and the quick swap. He had just been doing it by rapid fire pressing of weapon swap for 7-8 years. So he's just now getting into that habit, because again, with some of the newer things in GBO2 with 7 or 8 weapons, there's just no other way to do it. You have to be using quick swap to get the most out of that. But just again, just so many things about GBO1 got fixed for so much for GBO2. It is not even funny. And when I may be a little too forgiving of GBO2's quirks and problems at sometimes, but when people talk about how, how the game is janky or how the game, looks like a PS2 game, it's like, you do not even know. You don't.
Go play GBO1, man.
Like I said, if somebody wants to get that working in PS3 emulation, I would like to see it preserved and like for people who came in with GBO2 to see what that was like. So I would love to see that get emulated at some point.
Oh my gosh,
That's
that's
what I
amazing.
play
If
there.
GBO2 suddenly had private servers.
I could play. I'd play it. Let's go.
It's fun. I'm right there with Rob. I played a lot of Sniper Suits whenever I played GBO1. Like, I can remember sitting on dunes with the Zaku Sniper in that one map that's like got the open deserty side on like the one end, and then like the left side is that little like thin cut through it's like a big long hallway where it's just like a little cut through like a little side of a mountain or whatever the heck it's supposed to be. On like their desert map, or maybe it's supposed to be like an oasis or something. I can't remember. It's been a while, but yeah, it was rough.
I wouldn't mind having that map back. Actually, I kind of
was asking about that too. Besides that map, or even just like, what would you miss from that map?
Yeah, any
that
cool maps?
Back?
Okay, there are a few maps that I would like to see come back. Geez, I don't remember the exact name of some of them, but there were like 2 or 3 different military base maps. The one I think was supposed to be Torrington base was not bad. It was one of those ones that, like Mountain, I just saw so much I never really kind of wanted to mess with again. But it's been long enough. I could stand to see that back. And later in the game, there was a military base with a lot of underground corridors. And that was an interesting time, and I think that would be really, really fun to do in GBO2. I would like to see that one back.
How high were the ceilings?
The mines though can stay gone.
Oh,
wait, what's the mines? Hang on. What's the mines?
The mines are basically this enormous canyon where everybody just kind of the 2 bases are up on cliffs on each side, and you all just kind of drop down into a kill box in the middle. And it became the map of choice for melee matches.
Oh, no.
And because you would just all get down in there and just fight over the middle point just forever. And it was that was a map, like that was probably where most of my most frustrating matches were played. So that one I could probably stand not to see back again, though. Now that I think about it, now that we have things with the multi-jump ability, and now that we have things that can fly, that could really change up that map, and it might work better now than it did then.
Okay, so that one, so it's a big canyon rather than like tunnel
like
areas.
Death Bowl.
Yeah, there were some like mine shafts off to the side. I want to say for the pilots to go through, but just the main part of it, I guess we called it the mines at the time. It's probably more of a quarry, is what it is.
Ah, okay. For the base one that went into tunnels, how big were the ceilings on those?
I want to say they were tall enough that it should not give anything in the game now any trouble if they were decide to bring it back. They were, I'd say, about twice the tunnels were probably about 1.5 to twice the height of any of the mobile suits we took down in there.
Okay, so the MLRS will have to lean to shoot its missiles. Got it. That's all I'm curious. I'm curious how I have to play my MLRS.
I just had to lay down real quick, like.
Yeah.
That first map you described, Rob, kind of reminds me of one of the maps. It's like almost sounds like a smaller version of one of the maps from MSGO. I kind of wonder if there was any correlation with that, because there's one in MSGO where like one side of it is like it's more like long ravines and not just like a quarry murder pit. But
Mhm.
like the other side is this little underground base kind of section where you just have hallway shootouts, and the other side is that kind of like high cliff of the drop downs where you kind of fly around and do melee fighting and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting.
I never got to try MSGO, but I heard it was pretty good.
It's also janky.
It's
Oh,
also
yeah.
still
Funny.
going. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of my introduction of some of the jank, because like I just the melee on that, you just kind of like flail at things, and I'm like, oh, I got 5 kills. Yeah, I did something. Sure.
I sure spun through that group.
And then
The
and
hell
then
happened?
I explode randomly, and I'm just like, okay, well, at least I did something this time. Or I go flailing through again, swinging everything, and miss, and be like, well, I'm in the open. Goodbye.
Yeah, you feel really cool for like 5 seconds, and then something shoots you from off screen, and you can't move, and you don't know why, and then you're
Yeah.
just dead.
Suddenly you get a bunch of lock-on beams on you, and that's all she wrote.
Like a
boy.
month. Well, actually, I guess it's been more than a month. I guess it's been like 3 or 4 months. They buffed snipers, and I just know there for like a week, there was just a bunch of the sniper suits from like the one from. Do they have Reconquista G in there?
They added it
Uh,
recently, but I didn't
yeah.
see
Think.
it.
Anyway, they like that in the one from Double O, like just the sniper stuff from those.
Dynamis or whatever.
Yeah,
Like Dynamis or whatever you call it.
yeah, whatever. Yeah, that thing. Like just the 2 or 3 sniper suits that exist at the time
Mhm.
were just like everywhere, and on any map that had any kind of distance, you would just be like walking along, like, yeah, I just spawned. I'm what? And it would go to the camera and be like, oh, I just got
Targeted and
sniped.
firing.
Yeah, they like I hope they nerf those, but they super buff snipers, and they were pretty gross.
Mm.
But like
over there flexing their shooting hands like, okay,
yeah,
let's go.
but for like I'm trying to snipe, and I'm like, the lag is just too much, way too much lag. So
Hmm.
it is kind of I guess it's because there's like how many people in the game, and then
There's
like
a bunch. Those
yeah,
games are
100
big.
versus
And it's
100 or
been
whatever.
out for almost a fucking decade now, but you know.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I would
So
recommend checking it out. Like if you wanted, I should set a links floating around for
yeah,
one
here
of the
I can put it in this
private
Discord
servers
real
that are
quick.
up. Yeah.
Okay.
I can remember what my command is in Twitch real quick. Yeah.
Isn't it usually on your title?
While Magnum's looking that up,
Here you go.
Rob, I'll ask you, do you think you miss pilots being able to hang off of mobile suits and stuff like that?
What?
I don't. Yeah, that feature, it wasn't GBO2 very briefly, but they took it out because it was never really used much, and wasn't used really much in GBO1 either. I want to say there were a couple of times I was able to hitch a ride back to a checkpoint here or there, but it was not used often enough that I miss it, or at least I didn't use it often enough to really miss it. There was a little while there when it got taken out of GBO2 where it was like in the muscle memory, but it was pretty much the same in 2 as it was 1, where just getting with, unless you were on voice chat with somebody, getting someone to take you somewhere useful was probably generally not happening.
Yeah, it's not difficult. Let me transition that to a second question then. Do you think parts or whatever might cover it decently well enough? But and actually this was after I stopped playing in the game. Melch was when it mentioned it to me. Do you think the and you might need to explain it for those watching, but the like medal system or whatever you did with the pilots for upgrades in the first game, do you think that'd be something that you wouldn't mind them seeing, like maybe not bringing back 1-to-1, but implementing something like that in GBO2?
It would be interesting to see. For the people who don't know, in GBO1, as your pilot rank went up, you could equip various medals, which could give you effects like just slightly more damage against a specific type of mobile suit, as I recall, faster repair times, slightly quicker respawns. I wouldn't mind seeing pilot benefits like that. The trade-off being that for any really good benefits to your pilot, the cost of your pilot went up. So the default cost for a pilot in GBO1 was not 25 but 50. And I want to say that with the medals I was using towards the end of the game, I was worth about 270 points to kill. So that was yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing just minor benefits like that back, but I want to say that when you could actually understand enough of what they were trying to say to use them properly, they could possibly cause balance issues if they were to come back in. That it would be difficult to do without causing a lot of problems, I want to say. Because the equivalent of the hangar upgrades in GBO1 was something called redevelopment, and that slowed down your drops even further. Redevelopment was you could pick a specific benefit to your mobile suit, like certain extra melee damage against this type. I want to say extra thruster efficiency was a possibility, extra melee damage, extra hit points. There was actually a specific thing, kind of like the anti-general program, except you would have like mobile suits that got like bonuses against specific other mobile suits. Like the Gundam would get specific bonus damage against Gelgugs for to be specific. And you would pick that, you would pay the points, and you couldn't use the mobile suit until redevelopment was done. But you would get drops on it just like you did when you were first dropping it, and when it got back up to 100%, you'd be able to use it again with this new ability. And again, it was a thing where towards the end of the game, just you could seriously unbalance things. You could get get just very specific builds, and of course, none of us knew enough Japanese to know what those builds were, so it just got really hard to play in the equivalent of rated matches towards the end of the game, because you were just getting destroyed by people using the same things you were, and just often I could not figure out why.
And they were spec'd so hardcore. I gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Also, that's another change that from GBO1, and one of the things that I miss about it the least is in the first game, other players could check out your build. They could see what weapons you were using and what equipment, and if they did not like it, they would not ready up. They would leave the room or just sit there and let it time out.
I'm glad that's not in.
It's interesting that they added those extra tells so that you could divulge that kind of information, at least in terms of your weapons.
Yeah.
In GBO2. But yeah, no one's really going to use that because as it is, they're going to be balking at the suit choice itself.
Mm-hmm. And as a longtime beam rifle main, that setup was the bane of my existence, because even more than in GBO2, if you did not have enough bazookas on your team, the team was, one, mad at you, and two, would probably not win. Another one of the major changes is that in GBO1, machine guns did not stun at all.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, and they also fired a lot slower. Like the Akitaku machine gun was pretty much the most celebrated machine gun in GBO1, and it had a fire rate about equal to most of the standard machine guns we deal with now. It could do pretty good damage very rapidly, And that's kind of why the Axaku's machine gun, when it first came out here, was kind of a disappointment in GBO2, because it was about the same as it was before, but everything else had come up to its level. So it just, until that most recent buff, it just
Oh,
did not
yes.
feel as good as it used to. I'm glad to have that back. That was one of my favorite things. That was about the only machine gun anybody would ever want to see you run in GBO2 was or GBO1 was the Axaku machine gun.
So Extra brought up, I remember seeing a big thread on Reddit from people who wanted the loadout view back, and you could just tell that they were super salty / toxic players.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes. Oh yes. Yeah. I just, again, I will never miss that that feature. I like the ability to tell people what weapons you're using with the tells, because that way, if you want to coordinate, if you want to get a cohesive team together, you can do that. And if not, you get left in peace to use whatever your best weapon is.
Yeah, I run into the suit thing every now and then, just because my pretty much best suit, and yeah, I I intensify the barrage. No big deal, right? Come on,
Mm-hmm.
don't dodge
Oh,
on
God.
me.
Mm.
Yeah, sometimes I'll be
Isn't
on like a
Dom Rock,
meta at like 500. I'll be on like a meta like detector or whatever, and I'll be like, okay, it's time to go try hard, guys. Dom barrage, and then it just instantly someone eats out of the game. I'm like, okay,
Why, no, thank you.
fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. The meta was, as much as people complain about the meta in GBO2, the meta was much more rigid in GBO1, because only bazookas gave the amount of on-demand instant stun that you needed to stay alive. Just if you didn't have enough bazookas on your team, you could not really respond to anything. There was not a lot of ways to just deal with things.
I guess I can understand that sort of with how MSGO kind of has its loadouts and stuff. Obviously, though, in the big huge battles, it's doesn't really matter as
You
much.
kind of get. That's kind of why I like the scale of that, at least, even if a lot of the rest of it doesn't appeal too much. Because it's just, I like bigger multiplayer games that I can kind of get lost in the crowd with. If I
Yeah,
do something amazing, I do something amazing. But if not, then there's like a billion other me's that are just gonna be doing the same shit anyway, and I don't have to worry about it as much.
makes sense.
That's why I kind of make this akin to Battlefield at times, and yet some of the objective play, particularly in some of the base stuff, doesn't really have the same kind of like tension or hype. So I kind of rather just not be there by comparison. But the kind of like conquest stuff in terms of capping points and all that still feels right.
But any other questions about GBO? Trying to think right now.
How many suits do we even have left that they haven't like re-released?
Actually,
There
yeah.
are. Yeah, that's a good question. And off the top of my head, the only one that I can, okay, there's two that come to mind immediately that we don't have. One is the Gym Intercept Custom, which which there was no space, of course, in GBO1. So in that, the Intercept Custom was a raid with a fairly fast charging sniper rifle, and still decent melee abilities. That was fun to use. The other one is the Full Armor Slave Wraith.
Yeah.
That was in GBO1 and is not back yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Was the
Yeah.
Pell Rider VG also in GBO1?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, that was a
Because
nice thing to see.
I remember when the Dullahan was gonna be a suit, I was like, man, surprised they're not trying to make that another double banner, because I saw the old art for them going off against each other from GBO1.
Yeah, and yeah, the Gleisner Pale Rider was in there, and there was one more that just popped back into my brain for a second and left. Oh, of course, the Zaku half cannon we just got in the last month as a PSN store thing. That was in GBO1 and was really pretty solid. all the aquatic stuff, of course, was in there as well too, even though there was no water at all. It's been nice to see those come back as well. It feels like they're just kind of pushing in the next couple of months to get everything from GBO1 like squared away and back in the game, and I am perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, gotta get it out of your system for the new stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see suits like because I think there was a Gato's Gelgoog or something like that in the first game as well, right?
Yes, there was. It was as I recall, it was a general with the shield on the back, like the 350 Gelgoog and the Gelgoog ground type sniper rifle, I want to say.
That's cool.
So real quick, since we're talking about suits, we can go in and get into new suit talk here in a second. But any like GBO1 questions for mechanics or anything like that you guys can think of, or anything else, Rob, that you would specifically bring up about the game's mechanics?
The other change that feels significant to me is that at this point, it is much easier to hit a pilot with melee than it is with head Vulcans. And in GBO1, that was the exact reverse. Head Vulcans work the way they're kind of designed to work as an anti-personnel weapon. And it was pretty easy to take down a pilot with those in GBO1, and pretty much a major accomplishment to take one down with a beam saber.
See, I want them to add, like, for head Vulcans, I want them to add like invisible or only for pilot splash radius damage or something. You know, like increase the hitbox just for pilots somehow if they could do that. Because it's like on some suits, it's like, yeah, this was obviously meant for pilots because it does absolutely no damage to suits. So yeah, but the thing is, you can't hit a pilot with it to save your life. So you're like, oh, cool, I'm gonna just unequip these for my suit.
You just see the pilot ripping him out of the hand. Like, what are you doing?
But anything else mechanics wise?
I can't think of anything to volunteer.
Okay.
I'll ask you this because it's one thing I noticed a lot in just general older videos. Do you like that? Because it seems like beforehand, in the first game, a lot of people were kind of disengaging, or like how now you'll do like a stagger into a knockdown or something, and you'll side boost into a follow up. In the first game, it seemed like a lot of canceling was done with a dodge roll. That's just because latency is better now, like or is it like just better or smoother to you in that regard?
I think that's a lot of it. I think it may just have been me. I don't know if it was other players or not, but I think one of the reasons that I tended to dodge roll to cancel out of things is because I was pretty sure I was going to get shot in the back by someone I didn't see as I was trying to do this combo. So I may as well just roll around to the side before anything happens. Also, there is that's something I forgot until you brought it up. Another reason for the roll is that the melee did not bounce in the same way as it does in GBO2. Melee occasionally your melee would just kind of just go through each other and you'd both take damage. But the most common thing, if you both try to melee attack at the same time, is that you would both fall over backwards. It would act as a trip, like a downswing, and yeah, you'd swing at each other and just end up on your backs, opposite each other. So, it's been so long. I'm trying to remember my exact rationale for dodge rolling after melee attacks. I know you could boost cancel out of most of anything, but at the time there was a reason for it, and I'll actually have to go back and watch that stuff sometime and see if I can figure out why I was doing it.
Oh yeah, I'd love to hear it, because it definitely seems like a kind of a big shift compared to what we do now.
Yeah. I like I said, I don't know if it's just something I was doing at the time out of bad habit or just a difference in game mechanics, and I'll have to just watch and refresh my memory and see what I can remember.
Cool.
And kind of touch on too. Sorry, if I'm jamming out too many questions.
Go ahead.
Another thing that we don't have in this game anymore that used to be in the first one is Battle Operation 1 actually had range weapons that would cause a knockdown.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right.
Oh,
Yes, the boomerang cutter on the Zogok, for example, for one thing, that flew in a very, very wide arc, like just a very, it just popped like straight like up and arced, and it would cause knockdown if it connected, but it was also much harder to aim.
I can believe that.
Yeah, and the rail cannon on the Gym Ground MMSV, that would also cause knockdown as opposed to the piercing it has now.
So do you think that's something that you think the game is better off with, or do you think that would be interesting to add back?
I like the fact I like how the other weapons that cause knockdown, like the Desert Gym's railgun, they cause heavy stagger now. And I think heavy stagger is a really good addition to the game. I think it's preferable to a full knockdown and just has really added new and better dimensions to things. The knockdown weapons were fun to use, but I don't think they were ever particularly like really super effective. So as with most of everything else in GBO2, I think they took that in good directions.
Yeah, I feel you there. Like the knockdown seems like it would limit your burst options because they're already standing back up and getting iframes and stuff like that. So it gives you shorter window to act. So
yeah,
I feel you there.
Yeah, for range specifically, like the melee stuff seems to make a bit more sense. Like the Dryzen's like awesome, like it is top tier, but
mm-hmm.
you know you're comboing into it rather than just starting out with the knockdown. So fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
But anything else or suit stuff? Because I have a couple of questions on suit stuff, which is essentially GBO1, but it kind of involves what we think we could get in the future too. So as I'm moving this, I was going to ask a question, but oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. So if you want, give me some links to some of the videos for different maps from the first one, and I'll put those in the description as well.
Okay, I'll try and dig some stuff up in a little bit and send you some links.
Cool. So with the new suit stuff, mainly we go around and kind of guess what the new suit was. Last week it was pretty unanimous, the O and maybe the Mark V. Pretty much the only thing we were wrong on was it going to be a raid. And so real quick though, what units? We kind of talked what is missing, but what units were hated in GBO1? Like, were there any just straight up bad suits, or straight up this is OP kind of thing, I guess, or and then like which one out of the ones you mentioned would you like to see put in as the new suit if we could get it ASAP?
That's some tough questions. In terms of things that were hated, Zaku 1s and Zudas were kind of not looked on too fondly because they operated a little bit different in GBO1. They both had a tackle that could cause thousands and thousands of damage and had a cost of at level 1 of 50.
Wow.
So you would just get in there, try to tackle people as many times as you could before you drop dead, and then do it all over again. And that was really.
I feel like that's almost like an inside joke for the Zaku one in particular, doing the shoulder charge in the show.
Oh, no.
That's funny,
yeah, those were kind of difficult and irritating to contend with at times. And I don't think anybody was ever particularly happy to see me in the Jim White Dingo, because the prototype beam rifle in that worked somewhat differently. It did, I want to say, probably higher damage than it does here. It had no charge.
Oh
so
my
you
gosh!
could-
I was
so
gonna say, did it?
Yo, let's go.
Oh no!
Yeah, there was
Instant
no-
Exodia! Oh no!
so there was no warning as to when it was going to fire. You just shot and did like 7,000-8,000 damage, I want to say, and then basically you died because it was not a very it was not a very powerful mobile suit without its weapon. The charge time was also significantly higher. So
Okay.
yeah, so it was you fire. It was another one where you fired your big shot once and then died and then respawned and did it again. But in terms of the stuff that I would like to see added, back fairly quickly, I enjoyed the Pale Rider VG. I will be happy to see that back when it shows up. At this point, wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being the next clan match thing or something like that. But it would it'd be fun to mess with. It would be fun to see back. That's man, of the other things. Still wouldn't mind seeing the full armor Slave Wraith again.
Yes,
That
please.
was it's been so long I don't even remember how it played exactly, but it'd be fun to have back.
I was gonna say, if you have a video of that, link me.
I'm
that
trying
too.
to remember I'm trying to remember if I got one or not, but I will take a look.
I'll try to look through them too as well and find some. And real quick, if you could just think of one off the top of your head. If not, then we'll go on. Any suits that were just underpowered?
I'm trying. Not off the top of my head. I'm sure there were some, but it's just nothing is really coming to mind offhand.
Okay. And then the Pale Rider that had it has 2 Naginatas, right? Dual wielding.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be insane. I mean,
Yeah.
anything else other than just it had Hades, right?
Yeah, has Hades, has the leg missile launchers off the Ifrit Custom, and I forget what else, but it had, I think it used a Gelgoog beam rifle, which was not as formidable in the first game as it is here, honestly, but it was still pretty good.
I want them to buff the higher level one so that it charges a little bit faster. That's my only complaint with the Gelgoog beam rifle.
That
But,
would be nice.
But yeah, if we want to go around and say what we guess the next suit's going to be or what we want the next suit to be, who wants to go first with that, and then we'll go ahead and once we talk about that, hop in shoutouts.
Good.
Okay.
I'll say I think we're gonna get a raid.
Hopefully.
Eventually, right?
Yeah.
God.
Um,
At some point.
Oh yeah. Because
So-
I mean, it's been what? And again, I told somebody we would complain about it here, but for real though, how many weeks? Like, and I'm not counting the ag as a raid we got. I mean, we technically got one,
Yeah.
but I'm just
I
saying.
don't only count suits that are like on the banner.
Mhm.
But as far as like the new ones go, it's been a while, several weeks for sure. But,
8, maybe.
I'm throwing my I'm throwing the Mark V into the raid pool again. And if we don't get a raid, my guess will be they might not do another general, so I'll say we get the Queen Masana or something. Although I think it'll be an off week. I don't think we'll get anything that hot
Wait.
personally, but not to Queen Masana. Sorry, to Game Walk.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I was gonna say the
That probably
That might be our next. That'd be our
Mansa
next.
would be
boss.
like- I was gonna say that's a boss. Like that thing's huge. That thing's
Yeah.
Isn't it bigger than the Psycho Gundam?
I think it was built from the remains of the Psycho Gundam Mark II, so yeah.
I was gonna say it's huge.
It's big.
So that's our next boss, hopefully.
Yeah.
Just on a side note, real quick, what do you think of the PvE stuff?
I really enjoy it. I think it's a great addition. It's fun. It's once you get the tokens anyway, it's less stressful than PvP, and it's just I'm Maelstrom frequently says, and I'm kind of with him on that. To give him my druthers, I'm more of a co-op player. I would rather be playing with people than against them. But this just happens to be a pretty good Gundam game that has been available to me for free. So this is where I wound up. So
I will
you know,
say, oh, sorry.
that's okay. Just gonna say, yeah, PVE. Very happy to see it. Anytime they want to expand it,
Yes.
and provide like a way to get back to the previous missions that are not available anymore, I am all for it.
See, my thing is, if they made a single player game, I would buy it. I love this combat system. I've been wanting a
this
Gundam game
engine's
with
really
this
good.
combat system for a long time. And we
Mhm.
finally got one that plays like this. And if they came out with a single player game or even a co-op game, I'd be all over it. I'd buy 2 copies just so I could play co-op. But yeah. But anyway, what suit would you want to see specifically
We're
or guess?
so well. We're so close to being done with Zeta stuff at this point. There's so few things left that need to be put in the game. If we're looking at a raid, I'm gonna say probably the Violent would probably be a good choice for next time.
There you go. That's a good one. I'm gonna
I
say
forgot if either the Gazelle or R don't have a raid among them, I'm gonna lose my mind.
right. I'm gonna say with it being low cost, for the clan, because normally that seems to kind of guess things. I don't think we're gonna get a 300 again, which the last time we had a 300, we got the Aqua Gundam or Aqua GM, and Emblems lost focus. There we go.
There we
um,
Well,
but the my choice for raid, I've got 3 now because Virulent sounds awesome for high cost, but for lower cost, maybe the VG, the Pale Rider VG. If they don't save that for clan, but what was it? The Zeku Eins maybe 1 might be a bit
of the
lower.
baseline.
Now, I don't think they're
Oh.
either any of those would be 300, but I think when they do these 300, we normally get something around like 400, 450. It's normally random, so I'm guessing we might get some kind of random in between cost. But yeah, I think those are my 3 for raid. But surely it's got to be a raid, right? Right?
Surely.
go.
I would think.
Man, I never thought I'd feel as like, I mean, it was Christmas for support this year, guys. Yeah.
He's missing his adversaries.
Yeah, for real though. Where are they at? Come on. Please just give me something more than the Mark II at 650 to cry about.
Just over there, like, give me something to break.
But cool. So any more guesses or anything?
Not on my part. I think, yeah, I'm thinking probably the Bioland is next.
That would be hype. That would be really hype.
That
I'd
needs
roll
to
on
be.
it. That'd be pretty fun.
Either way, it has to be a raid.
Yeah. If we don't get it, the next week after is 650. So I'm gonna say Virulent then for sure if we don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And give us
Even
2
if it
raids in a row.
lowballs, they could be like 600, 650, but still.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we want to go ahead and hop into shoutouts.
Works for me.
Okay,
Okie
cool.
dokie.
Here, if you want to go ahead and start, Rob, let everybody know what you got coming up, what's going on, and where they can find you, and all that stuff.
Okay, well, naturally, I am most easily found on youtube.com/Flailthroughs. I've been there, geez, almost 10 years now. It's terrifying. But yeah, tomorrow, Sunday, I will be posting my first impressions of the O, which I'm going to keep with that. I may try and get myself a space round when I can, just to see, see how it does. Just keep trying to get getting a grasp of the thing. But yeah, that's coming up. This coming week is going to have quite a few more patron requests. If that's something anybody is interested in, patreon.com/Flailthroughs. You can drop me a couple of bucks a month, and I will take requests for specific mobile suits and color schemes and weapon combinations. And if you just feel like blathering at me, outside my comment section, I am on Twitter at twitter.com/RobFlails.
Is your avatar like just a floaty inflatable arm man or something?
I should have Kermit the Frog, really, if
That would be good,
if I
too.
was
That'd
thinking
be
about it.
amazing.
Yeah. But right now, still using my logo, which, man, that Dragon Warrior font has taken me a long way in terms of logos and thumbnails and things.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I don't mean in a bad way, but I mean it looks good and it's simple too, so it's not bad at all.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. Simple, recognizable, and as far as I'm concerned, 8-bit was great for that, because sometimes limited resources kind of help encourage very distinctive things, I think.
Yeah, I've been trying to find that with thumbnail stuff myself.
It can be tough to do, really can.
But anyway, Gustav.
Yes. Right. Gustav 13th or Gustav_X I am on Twitch, YouTube, do stuff on Twitter on occasion, and also have a Facebook for whatever inexplicable reason. But we are currently doing a lot of Gundam Battle Operation 2 dailies, as well as Yakuza 5 on the Twitch channel, trying to keep up with the VODs as well for the secondary playthroughs over on YouTube, so be sure to check those out if you actually missed them live. And I'm starting to try to contemplate what I'm gonna do after I'm finally done with this Yakuza marathon. And there are a fair amount of things that I got in mind. Also, fingers crossed that we can maybe do some other like group game stuff in the future. But that would be the bulk of what I've got going on. Trying to keep it at least consistent, even if it's not too crazy variety-wise.
Consistency is always good.
Sure.
Cool.
And I am GamingEmblem. You may know me as Gaming Who, but we are still playing lots of Battle Operation 2. It might be that game we talk about sometimes when we aren't tangenting on the podcast. On the internet. Right now, we're still working on that S- grind. It's so close you can taste the salt. And still working on Super Robot Wars. Got the new OG game that we're playing through. Trying to blast through that a little bit. We were actually, I was actually in the middle of one of the missions when Magnum started to call, and I was like, "Oh, I guess no, we're starting an hour early." Like, oops. So I put that on hold and hopped right in. So, we would recommend to check it out. Had the occasional video posted on YouTube. Internet video games, fun, wow, GamingEmblem. Check it out.
Cool. And as usual, everybody's links and stuff will be down in the description below. And Rob, thank you for coming on for this episode. It's been awesome.
It's been fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Also,
Glad
by
to
the
have you.
way, we didn't really tangent, but like once
Are you sure?
during the intro.
I was
pretty
saying,
sure.
I don't know, man.
Hitting exit out.
Did we? How many X's are going to show up this time? But anyway, I'm EG Magnum. I stream on Twitch. Got a Twitter, Discord, YouTube channel. Sadly, did not get my other social media stuff up before New Year's, so oops. But that's my resolution, to get that done. How about that? There we go. But anyway, more Cyberpunk 2077 to come. Actually going to start working on the rest of the story and more side quests, hopefully. Let's see. Path of Exile's got a new league coming out in a week and a half. It's not this Friday, but next Friday, I think, is their new league. So I'll be doing that. Then probably lots of long night streams or something. This week though, Baldur's Gate 3 is now on going to be Tuesday, I believe. We might need to refinalize what day we're going to do it on, but people's schedules flopped. So I think it's going to be Tuesday at 8 p.m. rather than Mondays at 8 p.m. We've got like probably one or two more sessions before we're done with the current patch that we're playing on. Then we're going to either go to actually doing a tabletop or going to Divinity, is I think what we're doing. Wednesdays, speaking of tabletop, the Gundam tabletop is going to be back in action this Wednesday. We found somebody else, and people's schedules have finally lined back up and is not crazy from holiday schedules, working people an extra 2 to 4 hours. And then, of course, Thursday will be the podcast again, 9 p.m. Eastern. Also, again, the tabletop, 6 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. But yeah. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, all that. Leave us a comment down below about what you thought of this episode and stuff and things. But anyway, guys, that'll be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Peace.
See ya.
Take care.